Hello and welcome everyone to our new studio. My name is Americo DaCosta, and you're joining your voice, your vision, your stage. In the intro video, as I try to point out without putting too many words in there, the world is our stage, folks. This is an opportunity to be seen, be heard, and be remembered. We have quite a lineup of content to cover, and I have my friend Keith Keller who's joining. But before we bring Keith on stage, just want to take a moment and say hello to everyone. Welcome you all to the show. I know we have quite a few people who are registered. Some of you will show up on Team Live, some of you will participate through the replay. But let me take a moment now to welcome you and say hello. The chat is live and will remain live after this show is over. So feel free to engage, drop your thoughts, your comments, your emojis. If you have questions, we'll engage in those questions during the show as well as on replay. I'm pretty active here on the network and make it a point to engage with my community. So my guest today, as many of you who may be following, and if you're not, you're going to want to follow Keith Keller at the end of the show or throughout the show. He is a spectacular professional sound audio specialist. He has taught me so much in such a short period of time. And if you went back 6 months and listened to me talk, you could probably hear the difference. Now, you can hear me talk and you can hear how I sound, but today I am proud to say that I enjoy listening to these replays, and I'm getting a lot of good positive feedback, sentiment, and I want to take a moment to thank Keith for being a part of that. I am your host, Americo, and with no further ado, I'd like to bring Keith up on stage. Why don't we take down my... Here we are. Keith, welcome to my new studio. Welcome to Toronto. How are you doing?
Toronto, there's the CN Tower. I've been to Toronto. I stayed I stayed in the Holiday Inn in the main street in 1996. But what you're doing here is you are taking this up a completely new level. Like we're using Restream and sending this file to LinkedIn and YouTube, etc. But you are taking this up a notch. I've never seen this done before. Like those banners, like bring up that banner with you, with your lovely face, and where there's a QR code and there's, your website. Man, I've never seen this done before. This is unbelievable. Like I'm loving this.
Well, I think it's important that for those who have been following me, have always heard me talk about delivering a good experience, raising awareness and consideration, luring your community and your tribe to want to listen to what you have to say. And some people do it very well through the written word and they drive value. I found that value is much more, I don't want to say lucrative, but better results come out of our voice. And today we're hosting and we're having this conversation in purely audio format, and I mix it up for a couple of reasons. Some people still have a love with audio, and I want to be able to respect those who want to consume audio, that there's an option. Those who are considering hosting events of their own, that you don't always have to be on camera. You do have to sound good, though, because it makes a world of a difference.
The thing that a lot of people don't recognize, this is very important. If you want guests to come on the show, a lot of guests don't want to be on video. It's not only a matter of whether you want to be on video because you're the host. I found, this is a true story, I found that actually when with the anonymity of simply an audio file, a lot more people are willing to come on stage. Now, this is in itself an interesting content style, but yesterday we did a show that went for 3 hours about a concept that probably I could have talked for 10 minutes about. But with the help of all of the people that came, we created this magic that we don't never know where it's going. Like the magic happens at about an hour or two in because people start to relax and they go, "Look, I've got an idea. Why don't we try this?" Well, I've never heard of that. I got to be honest, I'd never heard of that. Let's try that. So people loosen up, and this is the new style. This is the new paradigm. We've all been to those boring webinars where people talk at you for an hour. We've all been to those. But what about if you could invite guests to be with you, not talking at them? This is what I love. So the reason I love audio is that it allows us to bring the audience in, and the audience is much more likely to take part if there's an anonymity about it. Not necessarily completely anonymous, but they don't have to dress up. They don't have to shave. They don't have to have that funky background. They don't have to do their hair or their makeup or their lippy. I haven't put lipstick on for a while since COVID, but you know what I mean. You don't have to dress up. So I'm still myself, whether I look good or not, whether I've had a shave or not. I'm still Keith Keller.
That's right.
I'm not bogged down by, oh no, I need to cut my hair or got to have a shave or that background's a bit messy. I find those things a bit of a burden, and they slow me down a bit. This is why I do audio, because I want to talk, I want to listen, I want to chat. And I don't want you to see my home office and how funky all the equipment I have is. That's not important. What I've got to say and what you've got to say is important. That's the point. That's why you're onto something with this idea.
Well, here's another fascinating fact to kind of piggyback on what you just shared. And you introduced me to this slide, and I know it's available on the LinkedIn website. But for those of us who are growing a global community, we have people who have joined us, from Pakistan, India, Africa, and it's further ahead. Like it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for them. And to have some form of loyalty where someone at 4 o'clock in the morning can join and not have to be, clean shaven and ready to go on camera. This adds another level of versatility and flexibility, and it just opens up opportunities. And I think that's one of the value propositions that I try to encourage. Those who miss it, rest assured, it is still a format that people consume content. Some will say, videos all is the way to go. I disagree. I think there's a place for both, and there's an audience for both. And what we're creating here is that omni experience where people can pick and choose where they want to consume their content and how they want to consume their content. So if I have a client who's anxious, you know what? I want to hit the airways. My written content it doesn't have a long enough tail. What can we do? Well, we can create a virtual live event that comes with a longer tail, but that legacy where the whole replay is coming in. But I think I'm getting a little too far ahead because I want to talk about this in more detail later on. But let's start with, a brief conversation around the formats. Since we started.
What I'm very impressed with, and this is very important, like you have the flexibility in your mindset to be able to offer both. You are as comfortable on camera as you are off, so you now offer both, and you do both. Right? So you do both set formats. I'd be very interested to know from you which one works better and in what format, so the listeners can say, you know what, I don't mind going on video. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting a nice webcam? Because I don't mind doing it if it works.
Well, why don't we ask our audience? We have people who have joined us. Well, have them drop in the comments what you think or how you prefer to consume these events. Now, I put out a poll earlier, and maybe we'll jump into that poll a little later. But I'm curious to learn from our listening audience. How do they consume? Do they like or prefer? Is there a preference? Can it go either way?
Yeah. While we're waiting for that, what's your preference? Which do you prefer? Are you happy either way?
I'm happy either way. What I am starting to get a little picky on is where I show up. So I have a love-hate relationship for Clubhouse. I got introduced to it. It was cool at the moment, but now when I only have the option to participate on my mobile phone, depending on who's hosting and who's on stage, if you're in the car and there's traffic blowing you by and you're on your cell phone and that's being picked up on a Clubhouse event, that deters me from sticking around.
Yeah.
Right. And we all have different opinions of different platforms, but Twitter X Spaces used to be the place for audio, and it isn't for some would say. Some would still attest to it being the gem that it once was. I don't know. I'm not here to argue either way or discuss it, but understanding that there are options. But more importantly, I'd like to bring home for those who thought that LinkedIn audio was no longer an option. We now have three ways. We have this is purely audio with a created studio scene. We can apply our thumbnails and still make it an audio event. And then there's the on-camera experience. So there's now choice in those who want to deliver an event of any kind can now choose how they want to show up.
I love that. I just love that. So I personally don't like video, but I'll tell you why, because I can do it. There's a couple of reasons in Australia why I personally don't like video. One is our internet is so slow that I find it very difficult to run a viable video show live from my house. It's just not practical for me to run video shows from my house. The internet in Australia is too slow. That's one thing. The second thing is what I found when I was running shows as the host is that my eyes would often wander, which wasn't a very visually pleasing experience. I'd say, okay, well, there's someone over there in Jamaica and I'm looking at them, but I'm not looking at the screen, and it looks stupid. Like I just didn't like it. And so I noticed that when I was watching the replay that I was very distracted. It'd be very cool if you had like a co-host or a producer that could do all the really funky bits and you could just look at the camera and pretend to be a sort of an on-screen talent. That would be bloody brilliant. But because of the dynamic nature of live events, you've often got to do about 8 things at once. And when you add video to that as the host, it's almost impossible. I found it virtually impossible. And I didn't enjoy it. Because I didn't enjoy it, I wasn't sort of at my best. But because I just turned the video off, I can be myself. And you've been on our shows. I mean, they go 3 hours. We just keep chatting and we pull out the gems. We don't even know where it's going, but we just pull out the gems because we're curious. Because my brain's still sort of got spare space. I'm not worried about what I look like on camera and who's talking and who's doing the comments and what's going on there and is the guest all right and how do they sound and what are they doing? You know, it's a lot of work. By turning
I totally agree.
By turning the video off, I just save about 50% of my mental hard drive, if you want to use that sort of analogy. My brain frees up. And I know that doesn't suit everyone, and I apologize for that, but that's my style. And I'm very proud that my shows are pretty good. Like we did 3 hours yesterday. We had 280 people live on the call. 280. 320 comments in 2 hours. And the show's now had about 450 replays since last night. So it's working.
It is working, and for those who are joining us throughout the show, I will drop a reminder. Let's keep the chat going. If you have questions, we will have an open mic period for people who are currently hosting shows of their own. Want to provide an opportunity for you to join us on stage. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what format you might be using. Is it audio only? Is it on camera? Is it on LinkedIn or off of LinkedIn? I had someone jump in my poll and comment moments ago that with the way the algorithm works, their biggest frustration is coming across an event that comes across their feed after the event occurred. And that would be frustrating in the event that a particular event is being hosted off of LinkedIn. So if you're hosting a Zoom room, Microsoft Teams, and you're doing it through, with intent to maybe collect some emails and have a masterclass off of the public domain, you're going to lose that audience who gets to your event too late. My events are designed to be top of funnel. We're social selling. We're not trying to pitch anything to anybody. We're simply having a conversation. We're educating our community. And along with that comes a great opportunity for those who fall within that example that was commented. If you weren't able to make it to the live and my event comes across your feed and it's stale dated, you can now jump in and listen to the replay, which is what I say is the magic of virtual live events. When done and planned properly, if you're showing up at the right places using the right platforms, your replays will continue to work for you in your absence.
Yeah, we call that the long tail. You did a fantastic poll. Let's pick up on that. You did this poll that asked the question, okay, so yes, look, you might be missing some of our events. Where would you like me to tell you about them? I mean, I went and bought the URL whereiskeithtoday.com because people were saying, man, I never know where you are. So this is a really good poll to have. Do you prefer us to send you an email every time we run an event? Do you prefer us to send you a DM? Do you prefer to just go to the tab organically, naturally by yourself? Or would you like to just wait until the feed shows you that events are on? I'd love to know. What's your preference? What's working for you, and what do you think could be the better of the four?
Personally, I get more participation and engagement when I personalize a DM. So I sent out a decent amount of DMs. We have what I would say might be record-breaking registration for this event. Now, they might not all be able to show up live, but I know that if by clicking attend, that there's going to be intent to circle back and listen to today's show. Right? Then there are those who may not get to their DM until well after the show, but they too now have an opportunity to listen to the replay. So my preference is a DM. I've tried emails. I've boosted emails. And in fact, the one thing I do see emails working for, they don't work for me. But when I look at the heat map as to where people are clicking, there's a great opportunity for me, and I'll continue to do them because I can repurpose the content. But more readers on my email list are more interested in not just what I'm writing, but who I'm including when I'm writing. For instance, last week's email blast talked about previous events and who I had on the show and what we talked about. And you got the biggest hit in terms of click-through rate.
Yeah, I love this. I love the testing. I just love the testing. I just love the idea that we don't know everything, so we're just testing it out. I personally love DMs, but DMs are my secret sauce. I mean, I apologize if I'm sending you too many, and please tell me if I am, because I'm happy to stop. But I've tried sending emails. No one reads them. No one reads my emails. I've been doing this for a long time. No one's read my emails. And I got to ask you, are you reading the emails that you get every day? I don't read them. So, I'm not in that loop. I'm not in that club that believes that email marketing is the thing. I don't think it is, because I've tried it and it doesn't work for me. But I'd love to know. What do you think? What works for you? Do you love getting DMs from the host? Wow, Keith sent me a DM. There's a show today. Oh no, there's another DM from Keith. There's a show today. It could be either or. Oh, do you like getting emails? It's very sensible.
Well, I started my day by purging a whole bunch of emails and unsubscribing. So I know from my personal lens, it's not the best way to get my attention. I got on the email bandwagon because people were saying that I was missing out. Now I've been testing this for a few months, and I'm not missing out on a whole lot.
No, we're not. People they might get your email, but they don't click on the link. They don't act on it. Like, it's one thing to read the email. It's another thing to act on it. But one of the things that happened today, and I saw you comment on this, I think the poll was, do you respond to people that send you an invitation without a note? I think that was the actual question. Do you take? This person had like 18,000 invitations in her inbox to connect. She has 78,000 followers, so she's pretty popular. And she was wondering, well, what do you do? Because we have this thing called pitch slapping, right? You accept an invitation for someone you don't know, and then in 10 seconds, oh, guess what? I'm a graphic designer from Pakistan, and look, I'm making these great images for you, and I'll do 10 for $1. Give me a chance. Well, hang on. I said yes. I didn't say yes to this barrage. And that's why a lot of us are worried about sending notes. But you made a really good comment. Like, that comment that you did today was picked up on the essence of what we're talking about here. Do you want to pick up on the idea of sending invitations and or receiving them?
Well, we tend to forget that the intent and the purpose of this platform is to network and is to be seen, heard, and remembered by others. So there are those who, yes, they pitch slap, and no sooner do you click accept, they have their finger ready on the trigger to hit send and say, hey, how about buying something from me? Now, here's how I look at it. I'm here to grow my community. If I surround myself with a circle of friends, I'm not going to get the reach that my brand needs. I'm not going to get the visibility and the social authority that's required to make an impact on a social platform. So as long as someone does their due diligence and at least, visit my profile, humor me, let me know that you took the time to check out who I am and you didn't just blindly scrape my email or use Sales Navigator just as a bulk invite. It doesn't necessarily need to be personalized for me, but if you visit my profile and I take a look and I see alignment and I recognize, hey, I recognize why this person reached out, I will respectfully accept that invite. Now, I will just as quickly block and remove them if they start to pitch.
I think a lot of people forget the power of planning. I know exactly who I want to connect with. I know exactly what I'm doing. And just to let you know, if you don't know that, I have decided this year that I want to be interviewed 12 times, once a month for 12 months. At the moment, I've been interviewed in Atlanta, I've been interviewed in Toronto, and I've been interviewed in Detroit. So anytime someone contacts me and says, look, I've got a podcast, you want to come on my podcast? Bingo, yes. I want to. Yes, I want to. If someone says, I've got a graphic design business, I don't need that. I don't need that service. So I probably wouldn't connect with them unless they happen to be a nice person. But I know exactly what I want. And so when people contact me and they say, look, I'm a podcast host and we're looking for guests, bingo, that's on my list. Or I'm a podcast guest and I'm looking for people to come on your show, bingo, that's what I do. So by having a very clear vision of what you want from LinkedIn, when someone comes across you and sends you a follow and an invite, you'll know, yeah, look, that's a great alignment. Yeah, man, that's exactly what I'm after. And I'm very clear on what I want. I want to be, I've done 3. Let me be very clear. I'm 3 out of 12. I'm a bit behind. So please help me out. You know, I must admit, I've been interviewed in Toronto several times. So I'm counting all of those up together. But the point is, I've been interviewed in Atlanta. I've been interviewed in Detroit. And I've been interviewed in Toronto. And last year I was interviewed in Auckland, New Zealand. So in a way, I've got 4 out of 12. But I'm about, I'm a little bit behind. It's the 8th month. I've only got 4 of them. So help me out. So now that people are hearing this, they go, hang on, I've got a podcast. I reckon this guy'd be all right. Let's get him on. So then I've set intention. Right. But if someone says, look, I'm a graphic designer and I can create a graphic for when you are on the next podcast, well, I can do that. I know how to do that. I don't need that service. And I'm happy to connect with you as a friend, but I don't need you to create my graphics because I do that myself. Right? So it's bloody brilliant. I think it's just a matter of having intention around sending invitations and also receiving them. And I've got a bit of a story about iHeartRadio. Hold that thought. I've got a very clear lead I'm going to give you in a minute. But what do you think? Intention.
Well, I truly believe in the statement that says intent versus impact. So sometimes we do things with great intention, but fail to realize the impact or the lack of impact. So understand that sometimes your intention can fall on deaf ears and nothing happens. Understand that your intention sometimes ruffles feathers, and what you weren't planning on happening ends up happening. So intent is something you have to manage and monitor closely.
I want to share this really cool story from Woody Allen. I've told this story before, but I don't think I've told it on your show. Woody Allen is so creative that he has about 5 projects going at once. This is a true story. I'm very inspired by this story. And so every day he wakes up and he goes, do I want to work on that movie about Italy? Or do I want to work on that movie about Barcelona? Or do I want to work on that new one I've got swimming around in my head about Paris? He's got 3 movies about different cities, right? These are famous movies that have gone very well. And he goes, you know what? I really feel like doing that sort of time travel Midnight in Paris story today. I just feel inspired by that. I could do the Italy one and I could do the Barcelona one, but I just feel like doing the Paris one. I trust myself. And he's so in tune with his creativity that he knows he can do 3 or 4 things at one time. Now, with that in mind, I've worked out I can do 5 projects a year, 5 major projects, one of which is to get on 12 podcasts in 12 months. I'm now currently 4 out of 12. Please help me out. So some days I work on that if I'm like I am now. So some days I work on that project. I'm a little bit behind. My major project, which I'm so proud of, is that I decided I wanted to have 20,000 followers by 2025, the 20th of May, because we have our numbers in the middle. 2025. And I did it. Click. Bingo. Bottle of champagne. So I knew that's what I wanted. And I did it. And I was very focused. And everything I did was based on that goal. 20,000 followers. I'm probably going to get 22,000 by 22/10 now. I'm very proud. 22 October. So that's one of my major goals, to build my following, to build my connection list. Because I know that people come to the show and I want to go on their shows and they want to come on my shows. So having intention is very, very important, because then on a Friday morning, you might think, well, how did my week go? Well, I didn't get any podcast interviews, but I got a few more followers. Pretty cool. That's working. Do more of that. And it helps you put your energy towards good use, you know. And I've got 3 other projects that I'm working on, but they the 2 main ones. And I just keep coming back to them. This is what keeps me centered and sort of moving. Do you do a bit of this? I know you're a bit of a spontaneous type, but do you do some planning, do you think?
Some, yeah, I use the term loosely, some planning, because I have so many ideas spinning in my head that some of them are hard to plan. And when they come, it's like, all right, this has to be done. And I have to shift and prioritize other projects who have to wait, because I might think that my new idea will trump something else that I have on the go. And speaking of which, this question, like, we're talking about shows and we're talking about how to successfully get people to participate, get people to engage. Going back to the poll question, how do you want to hear about the shows? Look at Lachelle's question. Have we considered doing video emails? So if we're in the space of hosting virtual events, is that a differentiator for us to consider an email with a recording of some kind, on camera or off camera? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess there's 2 parts to that question. One is, what would I think if I got a video email? And would I like to do one myself? And the answer to both is no. I'm not sure I'd be that impressed with a video email. I'm not sure I'd be impressed by it. I'd think, well, that was lovely of them to do it, but I've got to open it and read it. And I know this for sure because I personally hate audio messages. I hate them. Off the charts, 11 out of 10 hate them. Because, I'm not in a position where I can hear that message. I'm doing things. Now I've got to click a button and hear something, and I'm already doing something. My brain is already busy. So I personally hate audio messages, hate them. But I know a lot of people love them. And I'm guessing that I would probably hate video emails as well, just knowing my personality. And I'm certainly not going to send them. But what do you think? Because you don't mind doing video and you probably don't mind receiving them.
Well, I got to tell you, as a recipient, it does capture my attention. I'm not going to lie to you. I've had a couple of video emails sent my way, and a couple of video and audio DMs that follow a connection request, and it definitely differentiates someone. It does set them apart. I'm not going to discredit that effort. It does what it's intended to do. It got my attention, and it perhaps got me to listen to the entire message opposed to reading or just skimming through what was written. But for the same purpose, like if I'm not opening my written emails, what's the likelihood of me opening up an audio message? I may have received audio messages and have just found themselves in my junk email and never to be opened. So I appreciate the ones that I've received, but I agree. Is it a deal breaker? Well, will I carve time to create one? I probably wouldn't either. I like the question, though.
Great question, though.
Thanks, Lachelle.
Lachelle's actually asked a follow-up question, and that is, how do you, and I think that's listed there in the comments, how do we follow up? This is a great question because I'm very interested in how people do this. How do we follow up after an event? How do we follow up after we've done an event? We had 320 comments yesterday on a show that had 280 live listeners. I'm one person. How can I follow up on that? I'm fascinated by how people do this. I'm fascinated. I did do a bit of follow-up. I had a bit of lunch and I had a cup of tea and I just sort of inhaled. And then I went back into sort of follow-up mode. But, it's a task, isn't it? How do you do it?
Well, it's no time like the present. So right after the live, I usually wrap up my shows and share with the listening audience. Hey, I'm going to dive in and engage any questions that I may have missed throughout the live event. Be sure to look for my response. I will be fully engaged right after the show. And then with each passing show, you start getting a larger audience, more participation, more engagement. And similarly, my last show, we surpassed 300 comments. Like, wow, this is going to take me into the wee hours of the morning to respond to them. And someone had suggested, it's like, lean into those comments and consider, people hear us talk about and refer to a long tail. Here's an opportunity to keep your event relative and relevant. So don't be quick to respond to all of them right away. Do them in spurts and keep your event front of mind, and the algorithm will keep pushing it out.
Yeah, because for someone to do an event, for someone to make a comment, that's an action they've taken from their own effort. There's no one forcing them to do that. They felt compelled, as Christina has said. I encourage my clients to use video email because it's a differentiator when marketing. So she's gone to the trouble of writing that comment, right? She didn't have to do that. She feels she's so engaged in the show, she wants to let us know. Christina has got this unbelievable school group I want to tell you about in a minute. But there's someone who I met yesterday because she came on my show the day before. And now I had a look at her website and it's very good. Like, it's really good. And she's got this school group, SKOOL. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But so she has written that message. She didn't have to. So you're right. We owe it to our commenters to go back and try and find some synergy if we can. There's only one of me. I mean, I do find it a bit exhausting, but it's good to do, isn't it? If you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, there's no right or wrong answer to anything that's discussed, whether it's on this show or any other show. We can ask the same question to 10 different professionals, 10 different gurus, 10 different experts, and we're probably going to get, there's probably a good chance we'll get 10 different points of view, 10 different opinions. So it's about finding what works for you and understanding your why and how do you solve your why. So we talk about events, and if I bring back the topic of discussion in terms of different formats. So there are people who enjoy a monologue. They love the sound of their own voice, or perhaps they just work better alone, not having to rely or lean on someone else to kind of pick up on the conversation. So let's talk a little bit about that, because you and I
really like this. I've done a lot of research into this.
Fantastic. I know you hate the monologue with each show that you host. If you have, you're talking to the rooster, and you hate when you have to talk to the rooster.
Well, yeah. So, but in terms, and let's all bring it back to the rooster. But basically, the monologue style. This is very, very important. Like, it's not about me. It's about what the consumer, the listener wants. Apparently, the monologue style, me talking at the world, is very popular with listeners. So if you can do it, I can't do it. I'm not into it. That's not the way my brain works. If you can do the monologue style, you will build an audience. You will, if you can do it. And it's a very hard skill to learn if you're not naturally gifted at it. But people love to hear gurus talking about what they think is important, and they eat it up. So if you can, and I've tried to do this. So what I do with my shows, the first 5 minutes, I just basically um, rant about what the show's going to be about, and then I go to a bit of music, and then I bring in the guests. And because I know I want to practice this monologue thing, I know it's popular. I know people want it, so I'm going to perfect it. It's very difficult for me. That's why I hate it, but I'm practicing. Have you tried doing a monologue? It's bloody hard.
I've tried the monologue. I definitely can't go as long on a monologue. I've tested them out on weekends, called them, the weekly roundup, and kind of just impromptu, gone live, and talked about what's transpired over the week, what I've done, what's coming up, and it's not my style. It's I prefer panel, I prefer interview, I prefer just having someone to feed off of and make it more conversational than dictating something to an audience. Now, I do find if I had to go on my own and do a little bit of a monologue, here's a little hack that works for me. Might not work for everybody, but if you have visuals, lean into the visuals.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, that's
It keeps the conversation going, right? We use the visuals to describe how big the LinkedIn community is. We also use visuals, and I'm going to answer Sean's question. Did I miss the fun? Well, let's bring some of that fun back so that we can share with what was missed, right? So beginning of the show, we welcomed everyone. So hello, everyone. Welcome. If you're joining in and you missed the introduction, here's another welcome. Here's another moment in time that I'd like to thank everyone for sticking around and engaging. And if you like what you see today, give me a wow. Drop a wow in the comments and share what your thoughts and your sentiment are of today's stage and today's show. I'd really like to hear. I'm curious as to what you think. I'm always testing, and those who come back get a feel that Americo might be all over the place with his shows, but I'm doing this by design. I'm creating a library of different themes, different stages, so that people can say, well, do you have a portfolio that I can go through? Absolutely. You're welcome to visit all of my replays, right?
Sort of like, yeah, well, a library.
Visit my replays and you'll see different formats. You'll see audio only. You'll see, a panel. You'll see an interview. You'll see some with great graphics, some, whatever it is that you're looking for. And if you don't see something you like, share. Maybe it's something we can build for you
yourself. So we know for sure that people like to consume monologues. I'm not sure I understand that myself. I don't like to consume them, but apparently it's a popular format. The other most popular format is the co-hosting idea. Two people hanging out together, chewing the fat, just chatting, and then if time allows, they bring people in to talk. But that's not necessarily important. The co-host is the sort of the guest of the day, or the sort of the process. It's important to understand your audience and adjust accordingly. So there's good and bad. This is a very important discussion, and I'd love to know whether you like to listen to and or host an event with others. The great thing about a co-host is you don't have to do everything. They can do some of the visuals, or they can do some of the promo, or they can find guests, or they can do some of the answering of the questions. The difficulty with co-hosts is when they don't turn up, the unreliability factor. Right? And this year I've decided I'm going to be a bit of a solo performer, and I just go on and see what happens. I'm not recommending this strategy. It's very difficult to do, but I'm challenging myself to do it. So co-hosts are awesome if you get along, if they turn up, if the load is equal. Do you want to talk to this? Because have you ever had a co-host? You ever tried this before?
Well, for me, I see a difference between co-hosts and pod guests. So with each co-host, I have a commitment, and there are times where my co-host might not be available. We plan that well ahead in advance, so that, life gets in the way. People take vacation, and you got to step away from the shows, and I'm perfectly fine with. My biggest anxiety is a guest who makes a commitment, and a week out, you're just circling back, trying to pick up the vibe. Hey, do you have anything that you'd like me to add? Here's, a description of the show. I just want a confirmation before I start scheduling the event and start promoting it. And then you don't hear anything.
That's the third format. That's actually the most popular format, probably the most popular format. A host interviewing a different guest each week. The show is different because there's a different guest. That's a very popular format. But the challenge with that is, and I've found this many times, the guest often doesn't turn up, or they turn up late, or they don't have the right tech, and they don't understand the format. They don't turn up at all, and they almost never market the show. This is my least favorite format now. I've done it many, 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 many times. But the last week, 2 weeks ago, and many times before, an hour before, I'm so sorry, Keith, I should have told you before, can't come today. What do you mean you can't come today? I've been promoting this for 4 weeks. We've got 500 people registered to come. They're coming to see you. I don't know what you're talking about. I've got to wing this from a nothings position. You put me in a very, very difficult position, very difficult spot. I'm not happy, but shit happens. Oh, yeah, well, I can't come. And there it is. I'm on my own, talking to the rooster. I'm getting good at this because we've got very, very good stories about that. But that's my least favorite format for me personally as a host. But I know it is probably the most popular format for podcasting, a host interviewing guests, because that's something we understand. Why am I tuning in today? Oh, Keith's talking to Michelle Obama. How'd you get her to come on the show? He must be pretty clever. She's pretty clever. Let's get her. Let's listen to that. So that's the hook. The guest is the hook. If they turn up.
Have you ever had a guest as a enterprise talking about their product or service, a demonstration of some kind?
Demonstration guest. Yeah, usually the people that I have a bit of a pitch going. Yeah. So I hang out with entrepreneurs. So they might not be a full-on company as such, although that would be pretty cool. But most of the people that I talk to have a pitch of some kind. And we usually get round to talking about that. But it's not what the show's about. I don't actually like those types of shows. And I probably wouldn't do them. I don't know. Depends. Challenge me. Send me a Ferrari and see if you can get inside it and talk about the experience of driving the Ferrari on the Great Ocean Road. I think I could probably justify that. But it's not my thing. What do you think? What's your favorite format, and what are your stories to share?
Well, I enjoy the guesting. I've had a couple bail out on me. I also have an appreciation for the panel. So I had Michael and one other Paige talk about cybersecurity. So it's a expert panel. And a subject matter in which I have no expertise in, but it's important for me to be able to moderate a conversation where two experts are talking and engaging with the audience. And I had a real good time doing that. And I didn't feel, nor did my guests put me in a place where I felt I'm in the wrong conversation. And that's also important. It's finding fit and alignment. Because we can get people to line up and guest speak, but does it fit? Does it meet your why? Does it meet their why? It's like, why are we getting together? Why are we hitting the airwaves and introducing each other to each other's communities?
Yeah, this is the reason my shows go for 3 hours. I mean, people don't understand why I can talk and listen and be part of a conversation for 3 hours, but I'm the one that's winning because 2 hours in, like yesterday, we did a Substack power session at the 2 hour and 20-minute mark. If you want to go and listen to that, we did a master class in how to use Substack. Now, we didn't expect that, but some guru that we knew was pretty good at this. We got him on a good day, and he just opened up and he just told us everything. Bloody brilliant. Like, that's why I love the show. You know, the unexpected twists and turns of people that open up, because we create that conduit for them. Like, this show is very open. Say what you like, keep it nice. But what are you doing? What can we learn from you? What do you got to share? This guy was a rock star of sort of online content, and he
And
opened up and he shared his story, didn't he?
He did. And speaking of rock stars, let's take a moment to thank the rock stars that are in the audience. We have some loyal return listeners, and we might even have some listeners that haven't taken an opportunity to engage in the comments. I want to reassure that there's not going to be a pitch at the end of this. So feel free, drop in the comments, say hello, tell us where you're joining from. This is purely a social selling exercise. Keith and I are having a conversation. I'm demonstrating what I do in the form of events, and join the conversation if you have questions. And this is probably the segue to our next topic, which is open mic. If you host a show of your own, or are thinking of hosting or putting together a virtual event, we'd love to hear from you. Join us on stage. If we're connected, for first degree connections, just drop a comment. I'll send you the stage link and we'll welcome you on stage. And you can share a little bit about what you do, what types of events, what formats, and what best practices you might want to share with those who are listening. Those who don't have a show, drop your questions and we're happy to answer and continue the conversation. You would have noticed, for those who pay close attention to my start and end times, I purposely did not put an end time to this show because I felt there was going to be some good energy. There was going to be some good dialogue. So I'm prepared to go beyond the hour if our community and our listeners are willing to stick around and ask questions. We'll keep this going.
Yeah, this is the essence of the idea. The biggest challenge, but also the biggest fun, is the idea that people from the audience can come up, and my job as a host when I do my shows is to encourage them to do that. And not everyone wants to, and I get that, and that's why I do them without video. I find that lessens the barrier to entry. So if you'd like to come up and talk about what your favorite format is, if you're thinking of doing a show, what type of show do you do? What types of shows would you like us to do? Do you want me to stop sending you DMs all the time? Do you want me to send you more emails? Do you want to go for a coffee?
Keith, where are you today?
Where is Keith today?
Yeah, you bought that URL, which is genius. Tell us a little bit about that while we wait to see if there's anyone who wants to join us on stage.
Yeah. So two very good friends of mine, Bears, who lives in Atlanta, who comes to a lot of our shows, and Sherry, who lives in Auckland, picking up on the idea of how do you want to be told about events, said, look, mate, I don't get your emails. I never seem to find out when your show's on until it's too late. I said, oh, well, I get that. I do send emails. And, where I was on Discord and I was on LinkedIn and I was doing Go Brunch and I was doing all of these Twitter Spaces when it was called Twitter Spaces. And people were sort of missing them. And they're going, mate, that sounded like a pretty good show. I would have liked to take part in that, but I didn't get the memo. Okay. So we found out about this very, very, very cool site called Luma, LU.MA. Very cool site. And what it allows you to do is to actually put an event in a calendar. So luma.lu.ma /Keith Keller, I think is what it is. I thought, okay, well, there's a calendar of events that I've got for me personally twice a week until the end of September. Pretty cool. But then someone said, well, where is Keith today? And I said, oh, geez, that's a good idea. Where is keithtoday.com? I went and bought the URL. Cost me $20. So where is Keith today is the URL I use to promote my shows. So if anyone wants to come to my shows, they can go to that URL. And they're all listed there twice a week until the end of September. And Lynn is coming in next week. We're talking about travel. So it's a sort of like, it doesn't, Luma has a very, very robust free model. So I've got shows twice a week till the end of September on this very lovely site. It's very clean. It looks very visually stunning. It's very easy to use. And the reason why it's so good is that when you sign up for an event to come, you get an email the day before and an hour before. Right? So there really is no excuses. If you want to come to my show, you're going to get an email the day before and an hour before. If you really wanted to come, you would check your emails. So, which is why I know emails don't work, because even though people are getting them, they're not coming. They're getting the emails, they still don't come. And I'm thinking, well, I'm doing everything I can on my end. I went and got a URL for you. I went and set up a calendar page. And you're getting your emails. Why aren't you coming? Oh, I'm not checking my emails. Well, I can't help you with that. I can't help you if you don't want to check your emails. I'm doing everything I can, which is why I'm so interested in how people get the goss. Do you want me to send a DM? Do you want me to keep sending these emails? Do you just wait until the pop-up comes and goes, Keith's going live now? Oh shit, I'm not ready. I'm busy. I'm at the shops. You know, I don't know, because I'm so organized. I don't understand why people aren't. It frustrates me. But have you had an experiment with Luma? It's a very, very, very good site. It's extremely good.
I tried Luma before I used my email service provider, and I wasn't getting people opening the Luma link or the invite. It didn't work as well as it does for you, but then I came to learn that that's the way email works, because I'm getting the same open rate and the same click-through rate using my email service provider.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of email in general, but I wanted to give people a chance to find me if they wanted to find me. I didn't want to hound them. But people were saying, Keith, I can't find you. Well, there's no excuses now. Where is keithtoday.com is about as good as it gets. Right? It's about as good as it gets. That's about as easy as I can make it.
Yeah. Any easier, and you'd be sitting in their living room having the conversation with them.
Well, I'd be knocking on their door, wouldn't I? I'd be running up and down the street going, hey, I've got a show in 10 minutes. You want to come? Here's a Lamington. Don't. Here's a Lamington. Come to my show, make a cup of tea. Here's a little bit of a piece of cake. A Lamington's an Australian invention, I think. And look, why don't you come? I mean, there's only one of me. There's only one of me.
So here's the irony. I'm just checking the poll that I sent out, and 33% of people still prefer to be notified by email.
Yeah. So, but are they reading them? You know, are you reading your emails? And we are very busy. Like, I don't know if we had this. I've done 2 shows already this week, and someone from Canada was saying, "Well, mate, I'm very disappointed that these new social media sites are killing our content after 30 days. That's not fair." And I said, "Well, let's just take a step back. This is a shock. You have to sit down for this one. 518,000 hours of YouTube videos are loaded every day. 518,000 hours. That's actually 1,500 consecutive days. Right? If you sat down today at 9 o'clock in the morning and watched every video created in its entirety on YouTube, it would take you 1,500 days. Which is, I don't know what that is. That's 4 years. And that's just one day of content. And we're beating ourselves up that we can only get 50 people to our shows. Well, we're competing with 518,000 other videos. No wonder we're all stressed out. Right? So I get it. I mean, I just want to make it really, really, really easy for people to come if they want to come. I'm not going to hound you. I do the shows because I love doing them, and I
Well,
can talk to the rooster, but I'd
you
prefer
taught
not
me
to.
you taught me something that perhaps I'm going to share and give you full credit uh, for sharing it with me. People get hung up on looking at their live meter, how many people are currently live, how many people are listening. And it was you who may not be verbatim as to how you said it, but you assured me that shows like this, events like this, that have a replay, compare them to those of us who drive into work and are listening to the radio, or compare it to our morning routine where we're watching or listening to breakfast television. People come for as long as they're able to. They stick around for as long as they're able to. And if something you said resonates in today's day and age, you can always go back and listen. So don't get hung up on how many people attended, how many people simultaneously stayed on. Focus on your conversation, focus on the value that you're delivering. And when your message resonates, people will come back. And I'm seeing that in the analytics. So after we go live, I compare my unique views to my total views, and it tells me every time that people are coming back 2 times for at least 2 times, right? The average is 3 to 1.
You did
Um,
say that. That's very, very interesting. We've done a lot of stats on this, and the average person stays about 8 minutes, right? And I just assumed that'd be the first 8 minutes, right? So I front load the first 8 minutes with lots of cool, references and images. But the truth is that people come and go. They drop the kids off at school, and we're still going. Hey, that's pretty cool. They come at 7 o'clock and they watch their favorite show, and then that finishes, and there's nothing on TV, and they come back. And people come on average 3 or 4 times throughout the show and stay about 8 minutes. So if we're still going, people will still keep coming. That's the power of doing these long shows. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So Lynn took the courage and shared with us that she's no way ready to host her own show, but would love to in the future. Now, like Lynn, I'm sure there's many, many others. And you've been very supportive, and I too am on Camp Lynn and would love to see her enjoy doing these and be in a position where she can no longer say, because she's got the confidence, that she's no longer ready. I know that we've set her up with tech, and she's been joining your sound check shows. So we know she's on the cusp. What can we do? What can we share for not only with Lynn, but others who find themselves on the edge? And how do we get them through over that threshold?
Well, I think that's the power of the open mic. If you use the analogy of the open mic, if you've ever been to one, my wife, for instance, is learning guitar. She doesn't even want to do gigs, but she can play quite a few songs, and she can sing and play at the same time, which I never mastered when I was playing. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So she can sing and play at the same time. And I think that's a bit of a shame that she just sings in a lounge room to me every night at 8 o'clock. So an open mic night, which they do have here, is look, you don't have to be awesome. Just come and sing a few songs. We're all at the same level. I can sing and play at the same time, and I've got an acoustic guitar and I play songs too. But we're not rock stars. We're just having fun on a Wednesday night. Open mics are incredibly important in Australian culture. Like we have them like every week at the local pub. So the concept of coming up and saying, look, I'm not ready yet, but wouldn't mind having a go. Can I just have a go? And we're all friends here. We're all in the same boat. We all started somewhere. And we all know that there was that very generous person that gave us our flowers very early in our career. And I want to be that person. I've been doing this a long, long time. But when I was young, I was not very good. I had a couple of people hold my hand. And so the open mic idea, especially given that we're an hour in, because no one's going to watch the hour. No one's going to watch an hour of a replay. They don't. They watch 8 minutes, the first 8 minutes, right? So it's pretty safe. This is why I love the open mic. So could you share that link with me and I'll share it with others? Or
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same studio link that I shared with you. If you have
that's
people,
right. Of course you did. Yes, you've already shared the link. So what I'll do is I'll send it to anyone who wants to come up. And what we want to do here is we want to encourage people to have a go in a very, very safe environment where there's no judgment and we're all friends. And because the show's been going an hour, you can be pretty confident no one's going to go to the hour and see your bit. So because it's audio only, it's very, very powerful. So I'm going to find that link. I'll send it to Lynn and maybe Christina and a few other people listening. And if you want to come, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Lynn is on the cusp of a very, very, very important show. We know, I've done lots of stats on this. We know that people love to travel. We know that people want to travel more. And we know that planning traveling is hard. And Lynn does all of that. She loves travel. She knows a lot about it. And she plans your trip. We need Lynn. We need people like Lynn. So we need her to do these cool shows. We need to find out where the boats that she works with go, and we need to know this stuff. I don't know this stuff. So we need to hear from the people in the community that are doing these shows, and we need to give them the confidence to come up and have a bit of a chat, because we're all friends, and we've all been there. So,
and if we
yeah.
can't get anyone today, you know what? We may have just created a new segment, open mic, and we'll do it. We'll talk to the rooster, and if we have people show up, we'll have them share the stage. A night at the Improv, call it what you want. But open mic, and I'm willing to share the stage.
Do you have a show there that talks about improv? There's a show in Australia called "Thank God You're Here." Right. This I'm still not sure I'd be any good at this, but I'm very inspired by the show. The basic idea, I think, in other countries it's called "Whose Line Is It Anyway?" I think it's New Zealand. Yeah. And so you walk into a room and someone says to you, "Thank God you're here, doctor. We've just had someone come in with a car accident. They've lost their leg. What do we do?" It's in front of a live audience. Geez, wow. Wasn't expecting that. It's my day off, I was actually watching Netflix. I was having a good time, but I'm here now. And this person has got to wing it for like 3 minutes in front of a live audience. Like, I mean, imagine how stressful that would be. So we watched this show and it's hilarious. Like, it's hilarious because the guy's got to make it up. Oh, well, okay. Look, can you make me a cup of coffee? I've got to think now. I wasn't expecting this. I was halfway through my favorite show and you've pulled me out of bed. I was really enjoying this. But look, I'm awake now. I'm here and you've got my attention. And he's making it up as he goes. Right? Now, the reason I say that is I'm doing that show on a Tuesday. I don't know where it's going to go. Don't know how long it's going to last. Don't know who's going to turn up, but I'm challenging myself to do that because I want to get good at that format. And you've been part of that. You've seen these shows just take off, haven't you?
Yes. All yesterday was you were ready to pull the plug on it, and we went on for over 3 hours.
Yeah. So if you want to come in, I'd love you to do it. Apparently, Lynn's having some internet problems. The link's still spinning there. I've sent a link to Omar. I've sent a link to Malka. Malka's got this really, really cool podcast. I'd love to hear her talk. And she's got this monologue podcast. Very, very good example of what's possible. Jim could come possibly back in again. I'll tell you about that in a minute. My friend Katrina's in Australia. Flame is in Singapore. So we could have a bit of an open mic going there. But there it is. We've got a winner.
Hello. Who do we have on the line?
Hi, this is Omar. Can you hear me?
Omar, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, doing excellent. I mean, I just logged in here and then I saw you guys and you sent me the link. I happen to be free. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. You've just joined us on the open mic session. So, Keith, why don't you open and share what we're talking about and let
Yeah.
Omar talk a little bit about what he's doing and what he's up to.
Yeah. Omar has this really cool show called Zoompity, which I think is sort of a Zoom version of Jeopardy. And so I'm very interested in how you do this. So how do you do it? Tell us what you're doing, and what's your favorite format? Is it a bit of a game show? Is it a bit of a monologue? How do you do it?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Definitely, you pronounced it correctly. It is called Zoom Party, similar to Jeopardy. Absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, I was on America's show as well. We kind of talked about it. But yeah, I use PowerPoint and I program it so it's programmed to do the scoring and all that, and it's all put in there. So you have a board of about 30 clues or so. You click on it, the clue comes up, I read it to them, and then I push the back button, it goes over to the first original slide, that goes away. And yeah, so it's awesome. So we just did a last Friday a live couples edition, two couples in the eastern US time zone, in Florida and Pennsylvania, and it went great. Had a little bit of tech issues. That's what happens when you do a live quiz show, right? So it's great. I'm editing it and then going to be uploaded soon. But yeah, it's an awesome thing. Kind of on break in summer for that. We'll be ramping up again here in September, mid September for a new season, new tournament. Also, something new this season, we're going to bring back all the people from the previous season in like a tournament. So best of like nine. From those nine, be a champion. It's like tournament of champions kind of thing. So that'll be exciting there. So whoever's interested, the forums will be out pretty soon. Love to have new players. I already have already on there a few people interested.
What I love about what you're doing there is it's live. I love this. Tell us about the thrill. You and I know how this feels, but I'd love to hear you say it. Tell me about the thrill of doing a live show and what's involved, because a lot of people don't know that, what goes on behind the scenes. Tell me, first of all, the thrill of it, and second of all, what do you do to prepare?
Oh wow, it's brilliant. So to be honest, I only do the lives for the final. The season finale are live, and like the couple shows. So those are the only ones. The rest of them are taped and uploaded. The reason for that is there's always a glitch or a question that's wrong or grammar that's wrong that you try to fix for that. So I want to make it as perfect as possible, even though we need to see our flaws sometimes. But to prepare for that, and AI right now is basically helping me, right? Because AI, able to put in the clues in there. Oh, give me five categories for example, the color pink, and I was able to pop them in there and then switch them around. So I use AI to prepare. I make sure my cameras are ready. I have a good camera that I got brand new. Make sure the lighting is set up beforehand. I'm for that live couples one. I think I spent 3 4 hours the day before and that morning of that taping or the live show at 5 p.m. my time, and still there was a technical issue with it. So you always gotta be careful of what happens in there and just keep preparing. Those mistakes are always happening and they're key. Um, but also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I do also have a podcast as well. That one is live. Did 45 straight episodes plus specials. That's coming back in September. And
Where,
so both,
well,
yeah,
tell us. I didn't know this. Tell me what
yeah,
that is. Where is it? How can we find it? Where do you
yeah.
put it? A lot of people. This is a very, very important question. I'm so glad you raised
Yeah.
mentioned this.
That's it. It's
Where do
called,
you put your podcast, and how do you do it? Because a lot of
yeah.
people want to do a podcast. How do you do it?
Oh yeah, it's easy. I mean, first of all, the willingness to do it. Do you want to do one? Do you love talking to people? like you guys, right? That's the thing. It's called Do We Really Know Them? It started out knowing people from LinkedIn, right? It was the common people in the beginning, Matt Allen or Donald Cohen, the people who had like 5,000 followers or 30,000 followers that people know, coming to them and getting to really know who they are. And then the show branched out into somebody who wrote a book, somebody who's a mental health expert. And so it's branching out into these kind of things. And so really to prepare for these, you have to have the willingness, the ability to want to engage with people, get to know who our wonderful world are and who we're talking to, and be able to not be afraid to be in front of the camera, right? The first show I did, somebody invited me on the show. I was terrified. And after that, the fear goes away and you're like, wow, this is amazing. That's part of it. And just make sure you're prepared with all the questions, all the notes, and anything that's needed. I show the questions on the board. I try to research the person that you're there. Make sure you research the person, right? If you know who they are, who you're talking. You're not going to be talking to somebody he's from Africa, but then you're like, oh, we're talking to somebody who's in Asia, and it's like, oh, you got to know where they're from. Got to research them, meet with them before, talk about, look at their profile, right? That's the main key, and yeah, it's just enjoy, have fun with it.
Over to you, America. What are you thinking? This is pretty cool. We got a real live podcaster on the call who's doing it. Any questions from the audience, and what are you thinking?
This is fantastic. Thank you for joining. Thanks for sharing. I would love for you, if you haven't scheduled it already, once you schedule it, drop it in the comments, share it, tag me, and we'll be sure to amplify your show and your podcast. Now,
sounds good. I'm already getting ready to book the people for September. I already had my first show. It'll be that day before Labor Day. Not sure in Australia you guys have Labor Day. And remember, Labor Day is the day where people don't get babies, but they take off for it. But yeah, that's the first show. So
all right. We have someone who might have a question or might just surprise us with something of her own. Hello? Hello? Who do we have?
Good evening, it's Lynn.
Hello, Lynn. Welcome to the stage. I'm so happy that you were able to make it.
Yeah,
Much appreciated. Let me cue something up here. All right. While I'm trying to get your image here from one of your comments, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, the show that you're aspiring to go live one day, and is it a question? Is it something you'd like to share? The stage is yours, my friend.
Well, you know, I do have a huge amount of respect for you guys doing these shows, because I know it takes so much work and planning that goes into it. And just my little event that I just was pulling my hair out. I just can't imagine doing it every week like you guys do. And I really, it's the tech. I think too, you know, there's so much involved. It's not just getting what you're going to have for the week to talk about, but you know, all the tech stuff that goes with putting the imagery and all of that stuff that goes hand in hand, you know, with doing your show. So it's a lot. There's a lot to learn. I mean, you know, I'm learning a little, but you know, thankfully I have a new microphone and I'm using that, and thanks to Keith, you know, keeping us in check on sound. But you know, the rest of it, there's just so much involved with all of it.
Yeah, we were talking about that, or some of what you just shared. It is a lot of work, and then a lot of people don't realize it until they're knee deep in how much work it is. Yeah. And I see this so often. I was mentioning to Keith, I'll go through someone's profile, and see if they've hosted any events, and just to get a feel and the vibe for what they're doing. And I was surprised to see how many people have, a couple of episodes under their belt and then they just ride into the sunset. And to your point, sometimes it's just the work involved, and people don't understand or appreciate until they're doing it. But rest assured, there is support, there is help, and whether it is for people with large budgets, there are production companies who do this for a living. But for the solopreneurs who just wants to build some social authority, there is also support, and support that's there to build your confidence. And once you're ready to go on your own, we send you on into the sunset. And I too, listen, end of last year, I had to do something. My content just wasn't getting me the visibility and the growth that I wanted. And I leaned into this whole audio and video presence, and the message is resonating. It changed my trajectory so much that I'm now making this part of my value proposition. I enjoy doing it. And, if those who were listening yesterday, my ikigai, I love what I'm doing, and that is so important. And I'm doing something that people appreciate. I'm doing something that people need. And listen, if you and I have had conversations offline, if you have questions, you need support, you know exactly who you can reach out to.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for that. Very much appreciated. And it is such a great tool. And you're right, because like you always say, be seen and be heard. And, this is a part of that. And it does really work, even with my event that, wasn't great. But it still, I mean, I'm amazed by how much attraction it received. I mean, so it really makes a difference. I think you're so right about that.
Go ahead. Let's pick up on it. Go ahead.
The most amazing thing to remember is that there is 1 billion people on 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Only 3%, 0.3%, 3 million of 1 billion, take the time to make content. So if you can get through that initial phobia of doing it, you are in a very, 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 very small percentage. The rest of LinkedIn users don't make content and therefore are completely invisible. Mm-hmm. They might be awesome, but we don't know that because we don't know what they're doing. Only 3.3 of 1% of people go to the trouble of making content. So if we can get really, really good at that, and I've got to be honest, I've never seen this format before. Let's all give a big round of applause to America for doing this. Yay, we love it. We love it. Seen that before.
Wow. Thank you.
So, this is now a memorable experience. You know that this is Americo's style. You can see it. He can do it. I don't know how he's doing it, but it looks brilliant. Only 0.3 of 1% of people have taken the time to try this. If you can be one of those, you will stand out. Otherwise, how else will you do it? And that's the point, Lynn. If you don't do this, how were you promoting yourself beforehand?
General posting, commenting. But, I do also, I am a part of some local networking here at home. But, to gain the type of visibility that I want to really grab the attention of bigger, even the corporate world, I really need a bigger reach, Well,
you got to start somewhere. I mean, I want to talk about the idea of starting. Gary V started a Wine TV podcast called Wine TV. a long time ago, and the first one was very adequate but not awesome. And he basically opened a bottle of wine and said, "Look, we've got a wine shop, and this is what we're selling, and they're $100 a dozen, and come into the shop or we'll send them to you." Right. So Wine Library TV was an idea that Gary Vee had as a young kid, and he made 1,000 episodes, and they got better. And guess what? They sold lots and lots and lots and lots of wine.
I bet.
Yeah, because people are going, "Wow, that's pretty good." I haven't heard of that brand, but that looks all right. I might zip into the shop and get one, or maybe they can send it to me. And it's had millions of views. And his first one, which he did in February 21st, 2015, I think. It was pretty good, but he did 1,000 of them. He got better. Now, that in itself is an achievement, but more importantly, it sold lots and lots and lots of wine. And it set Gary Vee up as I know I think you said, Lynn, you haven't heard of this person, but he charges 50 grand a speech now.
Wow.
I think it's 50 grand. I researched it once. So I think, let's say it's 50 grand. It might be 20 grand. But the point is that he charges an amount because he's done it. He's done the work. And he's now a bit of an icon on the internet, and he can set his own price. 50,000 is probably quite cheap for him because he lives in New York and he's happy to just go to the game. But if you want him to fly to Nairobi and speak, well, you got to pay him for that because it's not like on his schedule.
Right.
So he sets his own tone. I think it's 50,000. But would you agree with that, America? We've got to start somewhere and we've got to build it.
Absolutely. And you did the right thing. You jumped in and you did it. And yourself, you ran into some issues, but everyone does. I did. Keith does. And anyone who precedes us will. But you got to start somewhere. And you mentioned something that everyone has, that aha moment. So despite the end product that you may not have been happy with, you said it yourself. You were surprised with how much it resonated and how much engagement it got.
Yeah,
Right?
I really was. To say, for sure.
So it just goes to show that, even at your most vulnerable, you might put what you think is your worst performance. There is someone who's going to consume it because they feel the emotional, raw effort that went into that. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone picked up the phone or sent you an email. It's like, kudos for you for doing that. That takes a lot of courage. And I want to work with someone who's got that kind of tenacity.
Yeah, because you got to begin. I Googled it. Actually, I used Copilot. It is 2025 after all. Gary Vee charges minimum $100,000 per speaking engagement.
Wow.
Now, he's busy enough. He doesn't need the money. But if you want him to speak at your event, it's $100,000. And that's because he's done the work. He's gone into the trenches and done the experiments. And he's come out the other side and he's pulled it apart. He knows what works. He can speak to it from an authority point of view. He's not a young influencer just taking photos of themselves in the bathroom with an iPhone, which is what LinkedIn has become lately. But he's done it. He's done it. He's doing it. And he doesn't need the money, but he's happy to come to you for $100,000. Right? That's his price. That's the price. Right? The price is the price.
Yeah.
But he's done the work. Have you heard of this character, America? Have you been following Gary Vee? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Well, I follow him on the platform. Yes, he is, and he shows up like he's not clean shaven. If you passed him on the streets, some people wouldn't give him a second glance. But man, he does it his way, and he doesn't really care what other people think of what he looks like, and how he shows up.
Imagine a guy turning up in a black t-shirt and a beanie unshaven, getting 100 grand a gig. He is my hero. In fact, several times, this has happened several times. Several times he's been the keynote speaker of an event. And the doorman said, "Oh, you can't come in. We have a dress code." He says, "Oh, you just want to ring the manager. I'm speaking tonight. I don't mind. If you don't, I'll just get my helicopter and go home. But I think you'll get into trouble. I'm the main speaker." And he rings the boss and he goes, "Well, mate, yeah, he is. You've got to let him in. I know he's got a ripped jeans and a black T-shirt and he hasn't shaved for a week and he wears that beanie thing. But he is the speaker and he knows what he's talking about. So we just have to bypass the rules. He is my hero." Imagine if I could make $100,000 a week and not have to have a shave. Man, I'd do that every day.
Yeah.
I'd do that every day. So he just plays his truth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Rachel. How you doing? Hello, Matthew. Hello, Omar is on the call, and Sire, I think that's how you say it. Sire is also here. So we've got quite a lot of cool comments coming in. Yell out if you've heard of Gary Vee, or if you love him or hate him, or if you've seen any of his gigs, and if you would love to turn up in a black T-shirt and not shave. I'd do that every day of the week, mate. If it was okay. My wisdom is not distilled by the fact that I have got hair on my face. Those two things are not related, right?
Guys, it's been a minute. I gotta jump off. Appreciate
No
you
worries.
allowing me to be on the program, and love to bring you guys on my program in the future. Love what you guys are doing. Love the background. America, you're awesome, and also Keith, you're awesome. You might be the first Australian on my show, hopefully.
Please, that'd be good.
Okay, that'd be great.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining, Omar.
Thank you. Good night, and good morning to
Rachel.
Keith.
He's calling in from Harrisburg. Where is that? Is that in Philadelphia? Harrisburg? I think Harrisburg's in Philadelphia. So hello, Rachel. We've just connected, and if you want to come on the stage, that's pretty cool. I think it's very, very cool that we do these things. Someone's got to go first.
Absolutely.
South Central Pennsylvania. That's pretty cool. So someone's got to go first and test the water. You might not have heard of this concept, and Miraco is doing some miracles here with these graphics. I don't even know how he's doing that. Like that's way beyond my pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it good? Aren't they good, Lynn? Aren't they good?
I love it. It just looks great. Really, really does.
Lynn, This one's for you.
Love it.
Lynn is the cruise specialist. She built the courage to come up on stage. The only thing I should have done or could have done for you is put a QR code so that people can reach out to you. But you're in the comments. People reach out to connect with Lynn. She is your cruise and travel specialist.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Picking up on that, and I do want to actually have a bit more of a conversation with other people. Rachel is near Philadelphia. That's pretty cool. 4 million people in Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia and Melbourne have got very similar vibes. We don't have cheese restaurants, but we do. I think we've got similar amount of people there. But one of the things I'm very, very inspired by is this idea of the live content. The winging it. We get to see the authentic person. I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, and after about the third question, it became obvious to me they were just reading off a script. And I threw a curveball question at them, and it stumped them. They were just hopeless. Right? And I think it's a skill worth learning. If you know your topic, you should be able to get a curveball question and go, "Wow, just give me a minute. I'm going to think about that before I answer." I had this one person from Vancouver on the call. I'm never going to do this again. She said, "Oh, can you send me the questions?" "Yep, I can. I'll send you the questions." And she wrote out the answers to the questions and sent them back. And I said, "Oh, look, you just have to be a bit more spontaneous than that. They're the questions. Just work around it." When she actually came on the call, she read verbatim every word on that piece of paper. Worst interview ever. Never doing that again. So boring, right? No life, no sort of spirit. And so I think this is a skill worth learning. If you've got a talent, an option, a business, an offering, we want to hear about it. But we want to hear you telling us. We don't want to read it on your website. We want to hear you telling me how cool you are. Not everyone's up for that. I get it. But I think it's a skill worth learning. Would you
Absolutely.
agree, America? Be
Yeah.
seen, be heard, be remembered.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered. It's starting to trickle into the metaverse, and people are it's starting to stick. It is a fantastic way to do just that, and perhaps a great segue to the next topic of conversation around shows. So the show is, I guess, if we're going to use culinary words, it's the main entree. But
talking about a funnel.
Right. Let's talk about the funnel. Let's talk about the appetizer. What happens? Like Omar touched on it and other people touched on it. There's a lot of work that goes into these shows. There's the preparation. What happens prior to the show? What happens during the show? And what happens post production? Yeah. So let's jump into that. Let's have the conversation, the pre and post show content strategy.
I like what you call the Content Trilogy.
The Content Trilogy. That's right. I got a graphic for that as well. And I saw your message on the private chat. Yes, there's definitely something I will work on and have a guest avatar ready to go for future shows. So thanks for sharing that. My brand trilogy, you hear me say, be seen, be heard, be remembered. I try to visualize it as a marketing funnel. What we're doing here is top of funnel activity. We're bringing our message to our community, to our audience. We're trying to drive value and get eyes and ears on what we're saying and what we're delivering. And once you captivate and capture the attention of your audience through your subject matter, through your expertise, and through social selling, we're not pitching here. We're just having a great conversation, and people are learning and getting value out of what we're sharing. People will definitely remember us when the time comes, or when the time comes for someone else, and they'll say, you got to reach out to that Keith guy in Melbourne, Australia. He has been connecting me to more business, to more community members, whatever it is that Keith is doing, you got to get in on it. But it's this
brand funnel.
That's
I want
correct.
to pick up on a few things. One is yesterday, I want to tell this story, specifically want to tell this story. A friend of ours, Jim from Toronto, is really, really, really interested in AI and has created a chatbot for job seekers who can't really afford a career coach yet, but they need a job. So he's created this first level of a funnel to say, look, this is the goss on how to find a job, and you don't need to talk to a real person for this because this is very generic. If you do want to talk to a real person, then here's the link and we can have a chat, and then the clock starts ticking. But don't worry about that yet. When you're ready, you can call me. But what I wanted to say is that I was chatting to Jim in Toronto at the exact same time that I was talking to a friend of mine called Tim in London. Now, Tim has a YouTube show with 500 episodes, and my job for him is to find guests for him. And I said to Jim in Toronto, do you want to go on Tim's show? It's pretty cool. America's been on this show. You want to go on Tim's show? It's pretty cool. It's called Tim Talk, not TED Talk. Thought that was pretty clever. And he interviews people from around the world on his YouTube channel. So I'm talking to Tim and Jim, and then now they're talking to each other. And of course, they're never going to meet in real life. He's in Toronto, Tim's in London. They've never been to each other's cities. But this is the miracle that we are creating with this format. I know what Jim's about because he told me. I know what Tim wants because he told me. And my job is to just look for people to get together if you want to do that. You're at a barbecue. You bump into someone on the bus. You're on the train. Someone says, do you know someone that ... You know what I do? I actually do know. And this is word of mouth, right? This is what we're talking about, word of mouth. It's a pretty miracle. You've been on Tim's show. Tell us that story because I did that for you. And
yes.
So
And it was through the power of what we're building here. I wouldn't have met Tim if I were purposely trying to find people in London who were open to take guest speakers. But through the power of community, through the power of this LinkedIn effect, spontaneously, Keith makes this introduction. And here I am talking to a global audience about my career pivot with Tim, who is a social selling specialist and has a enterprise of his own, a great successful business. And here I am talking about what for many is inevitable and how to prepare for that pivot that comes with age in white corporate society. People don't realize how dispensable they are until they're laid off, or I think you guys call it retrenched.
Retrenchment.
Yeah, so
thrown in the trenches. It's a horrible feeling. I've been retrenched 3 times. It's a big kick in the guts.
Yeah, so have I. So I reached my third time and decided, hey, we're going to try this entrepreneurship, try to do something on our own terms. But I still had a great story. There's still a great narrative, and thanks to you introduced me to Tim, and I shared that narrative. And hopefully, people will be better prepared, or just simply humbled by, okay, this is a real thing. I hear people talking about it. Here's someone sharing their story. So.
Now, I want to just mention that Rachel in Pennsylvania, is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is very, very familiar with Twitter Spaces, which are now called X Spaces. And she's done a few of those, but she's never done these. So if you want to come on, I've sent you the link, Rachel. I would love to hear what you did with Twitter Spaces, what you think of X Spaces, if they're still a thing, and how this could compare with what we might do here, if you want to. I've sent you the link. If you've got time, I'd love to hear from you. And eventually, Americo is going to have a little phone tingly sound in the corner, maybe a red English red phone box, or an old dial-up rotary phone, or something in the corner to indicate that we've got guests. But it's a format that is developing in front of our own eyes, isn't it?
Yes, I actually have the phone ready to go. I only realized that I didn't save it as a transparent image. So I'll have that queued up for next time. So yes, if Rachel would like to come up, we are more than happy to welcome her on stage. This is an open mic opportunity. We'd love to hear your thoughts and have you share what's been working for you on X Spaces. And perhaps there's someone in the audience who might have a question for you that we'd love to have you answer.
Well, I'll tell you one thing we could do, and I'll pick up on this, Rachel. I went to your website. There's a really lovely, this is really, really poignant, really lovely quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, who says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." That's a really powerful idea, that I believe that I have something to say, and I'm going to get interviewed 12 times this year. I'm 4 out of 12. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. If you've got a podcast, please get me on there, because I'm a bit behind. But I believe in myself. I believe that I'm worth talking to. I believe that I've got something to say. So I'm putting it out there. Right? Maybe I'm a bit obtuse, a bit full on, but the point is, I love what I'm doing, and I'm pretty keen to talk about it. So the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I've got a little book, 4 out of 12 I'm at the moment. Atlanta, Auckland, Detroit, Toronto, 4 out of 12. I'm 8 behind. I've got till December. Please help me out. It's not vanity. You got to get out there, right? You got to tell people what you're doing. Otherwise, how can they know? How can they know? How can they know what you're doing if you don't tell them?
Absolutely.
Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Love it. we're going to have to create a song on Suno with those lyrics.
That's right. Be heard, be seen, be remembered. It's very hard to get a word to rhyme with remember. We're here and we're together. Be heard, be seen, and remembered. Join our show and be together. I'm doing a bit of a September thing, September, remember. I'll do it. I'll just made that up, but we'll do it. We'll do a Suno, we'll do a single. We'll do a theme show, a theme song.
I love it.
But it's fun. Like there's nothing slimy about it. We're just having fun and we're talking to people and we're sharing. And if you want to come up on stage and talk about that, Lynn, what are you thinking? Are we sort of on a bit of a rant, or is this the future of content?
Oh man, I love that. You got to put that to tunes, get it going. I'm all for it. That's great. I can see it already.
I'm gonna rewrite the words to September by Earth, Wind and Fire, but it's gonna be seen, be heard, and be remembered. Come and join us and be together. That's about as good as it gets today. I'll work it.
That is fantastic. Well, hey, we're talking about pre and post show content. We're now in the music production business. I love it. Hey, short form videos you and I have tested. We got so many things that we're testing, always on the go. And I do this with intent and with purpose. And sometimes we conduct tests live. We'll go live and we'll conduct tests just to see how the audience and the ecosystem reacts to what we're doing and how it responds and how it provides feedback so that we continue to get better and deliver a better experience. Yesterday was a prime example. We were talking and unbeknownst to us, we had a masterclass, as you touched on earlier, a masterclass on Substack. So this message not only shows up and resonates with the LinkedIn community, we're multi-streaming today on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. But after the show, I get the opportunity to break this up, upload it to Substack. Substack's going to create shorts for me that I'll be able to distribute to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and other socials. And that is magic. It's going to save me time. It's going to give me the reach that perhaps I'm looking for. Everyone is always looking for more reach and more visibility. But if there's any advocates or experts who can speak to or on behalf of Substack, not here to promote the product, but tell me what's working. We'd love to have you on stage. Love to have the conversation and continue and build on what we started to learn yesterday.
Yeah, let's pick up on this. Substack, do you use it? Have you got a strategy? It's pretty cool. I do know a bit about this. It's got 50 million users. 50 million users, right? In terms of being seen, being heard, being remembered. LinkedIn, of course, has 1 billion members, right? So it's not as big as LinkedIn, but it has lots of cool features. You can write a blog of up to 3,000 words if you're a writer. They recommend about 500 is where the sweet spot is for most people. You can write really long, detailed blogs about what you do, because about 25% of people still like to read. That's how they take in information. They like to read blogs and articles and the paper even, right? People still read the paper. So some people still like to read. So you can have up to 3,000 words in a very lovely article about what you talk about. You can also, and this is what we're starting to experiment with, you can embed images. Picture tells 1,000 words, right? So just put 3 images and 3,000 words. You've got this really lovely article. You can embed videos, a YouTube video, a SoundCloud audio, right? So 25% of people love to read, and Substack is perfect for them. 25% of people like to listen. So you can embed a podcast inside the blog post and then write the transcript underneath it. So you're covering both bases, the transcript of the podcast. And of course, 50% of people want to see a video, and you can embed videos inside a Substack post. And you've done that, haven't you? We might try it with this one. Embed a Substack post with videos and a transcript. Tell us how you did that.
Absolutely. We're going to do this after the show, or probably in the morning. We'll upload this audio and see what Substack offers. Do we want to write an article? It'll give me suggestions as to how to repurpose, and I'm looking forward to it, because I'm only 4 posts into my journey on Substack, so it's about filling in and having Substack or its algorithm learn who I am, learn my persona, so that it can make proper recommendations, not only for myself to distribute content, but also for the Substack community. So I'm looking forward to this. And hold on, I think the phone is ringing once again. Do you hear that? Is that the phone? It is the phone. Oh. No, turns out it was a wrong number.
False
They hung
alarm?
up. So if you came up on stage, feel free to try again.
Yeah.
All right. And if hold on a second here, if you're coming up on stage, this is an audio only event. I will turn off your camera for you. Hello, who do we have?
It is Joe Caruso. America,
Joe.
How are you? Keith, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Hey, man,
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for coming. Are you using Substack? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I am not using Substack. I read Substack, but I'm not using Substack.
Okay, so as a user, how does it feel? What's the vibe?
I understand how it works. I'm not an avid user of it. Some things that I'm subscribed to are interesting, but my main interests lie elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you get it? Let's hear your story.
My story. Which story do you want? About what?
Okay. Well, do you indeed have an underground mowing service?
Underwater seagrass service? No. That was my reaction to when you were talking about getting pitch slapped and the absurdity of it, and how I don't understand how people think it works.
Yeah,
you don't know somebody. There's no context. There's no history. There's no relationship, but you expect them to buy something from you because you say, buy my stuff.
Yeah. Well, we've actually seen, I don't know if you've actually seen this, Americo, but I've actually seen on my shows people pitching in the comments. Have you seen this?
Yes.
I'm in Nigeria, and I have a business who, reinterpreting your videos. I charge $5 an hour. Can you please contact me? I said, well, we don't owe you, and you haven't even come up and said hello, and there you want us to buy your unknown product because that's just ludicrous. But we see it, don't we? We see all sorts of variations on this, don't we?
Yeah, we don't get them very much on our LinkedIn Live events. We get them from time to time, and they just clutter up the feed, so we just delete them. Because they don't belong in the comment section. There's nothing to comment about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I must have had maybe 2 since I've been hosting events, and there's no place for them. You want to promote yourself, do it on your own time. Don't distract the show, and don't bring your pitch slaps to my community.
Yeah, it's like go, you want to do that. You want to sell something. Go build your own audience. Be interesting to people. Have them connect with you. Talk to them. Find out what their needs are, and maybe there's a match.
It's very, very important, and of course, it's not known to everyone. But one of the things that's very interesting, America, you may not know this, but Joe and I have known each other for a long time, and he was on our other variation, the LinkedIn audio events. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Joe, on how you think this new format has improved the experience, or if it has improved the experience. Are you using this new format?
We're not doing we're doing panel discussions on our LinkedIn Lives. So we're not bringing people up on stage. I think this new format is fine. I mean, I did like LinkedIn audio because I was on Clubhouse from the very beginning. So I'm used to being on audio only. I was on Twitter or Spaces or whatever it's called now. And I liked it okay. Clubhouse is pretty much a vast wasteland right now in terms of the quality of the conversations. But I was disappointed at first when LinkedIn got rid of the audio only, and then once we use Redstream, and it works great. It's fantastic. So I think LinkedIn actually made a wise choice. I wish it was a little easier for people to get up on stage, but it's not hard. I mean, I did it in 2 seconds. And actually, this is the first time I've joined a stage through Redstream. I'm usually on running the board on Redstream, so I'm already there. So I've never had to log in. It's pretty seamless, pretty frictionless.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a first.
Send you the link. This is good. This is very good.
We're happy to have you on our show. I know I've jumped in to some of your shows when it was on LinkedIn audio. I haven't seen much of your shows come across my feed.
We have been reworking our shows. We've got one coming up on the 27th of this month, and we do commercial shows. I mean, so we're, these are paid shows for the most part, or there are shows that are promoting our business, but they're not, come and buy my stuff shows either. There's, value and substance oriented shows, but we're doing a series of 6 shows about Lazy Mike's Pizza. And the sponsor of that show is a company called Chainformation. And they've been around for over 20 years in Europe. And they build software as a service product for multi-location companies, primarily franchises. And that's all I'll say about that, because I'll just bore everybody if I keep talking about it. But that series is going to be very good. But we do some interesting things that we built, and this will be the first actual campaign run of them. We're taking the transcripts and the audio and using Reduct AI to create snippets and articles, and so we can extend the life of the audio, or any podcast for that matter, using that. And it should be pretty good. We'll see how it turns out, because this is the first really commercial use that we've done.
Well, thanks for sharing. What's that that platform you're using?
It's actually a software. It's
software,
called,
yes.
I'm pretty sure it's Reduct AI. My business partner Mike in Toronto, he does all the technical stuff. So and it's a paid platform, so you have to buy it. And we felt we only need one of us to buy it. So I haven't logged into it. I mean, he would give me the login, I could check it out. But why would I want to do that when he will do the work? That would be stupid of me, wouldn't it?
Fair enough. I think we got someone backstage. Let's bring Rachel up. Rachel, thanks for patiently waiting. Welcome on stage. Let's get this right here. And let's turn off the camera. Rachel, you
There's
still with us?
I'm still with you. Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you. Thanks for waiting patiently. And let's hear what you have to share with us.
Grateful to be here. I am new to these live streams on LinkedIn, and I love the idea of connecting in this way. And I definitely believe that I was born for such a time as this because with so much at our fingertips, I believe that we're finally coming to a place where we want authentic, we want real, we want vulnerable, we want raw. We want people that come from experience, that have wisdom, that are kind just because they have a joy that they've discovered through self-discovery and um, just through life. So it's exciting, and there's no coincidences. I don't believe in, things happening. I believe everything happens as it should, and timing's everything. And it's been a while since I hosted a space on X, which formerly Twitter, and I have the word vulnerable in my head because I think I heard you say, it doesn't matter what place you're in right now to share what you have to share. And I heard a great quote, I think it's Brene Brown, that she said, um, this, she said, if you have something, if you have, I can't think of the exact words, but if you have something to share, like if you really have it on your heart and you have a message, a sincere message to share, there's someone that needs to hear it. So for me, Twitter was more of just a like a journal for me, and it was something that I just could look and see progress and consistency. And I think the biggest thing is to not to post for an audience, but to like it's hard to put into words, but to not overthink it, but to really to have it be from you. Um, and I say timing is everything because I wanted to share milestones in my life and things, um, but I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because sometimes we need to focus on just the journey before we share it. All this to say, I think it's best to jump in before we're ready. And I think that waiting for perfect conditions will mean inactivity. And I think that don't wait for conditions that will never exist. So if you're waiting, or if you've been thinking about switching careers or, you know, changing directions in life, um, don't wait for perfect conditions. Jump in when it's scary because that's usually the best time. And that's actually how I learned to I surf, and that's how I learned to ride a wave and to get in the barrel of the wave is, when you drop in, it's the scariest time where you don't think you're gonna, you think you're gonna eat it, but it's right where you need to be. So thanks for letting me share, guys. I'm glad to connect with everyone here.
You're very
Fantastic.
welcome. Have you heard the phrase "build in public," Rachel?
I have.
Yeah. So, a lot of us brave souls, we say, "Look, we don't know everything, but we're going to share the journey because we're sort of halfway in, and there's people behind us." I'll share a bit about this in a minute, but there's people behind us that are watching us because we're halfway in, and of course, we're watching the people that have been doing it before us. And if they didn't share their journey, we wouldn't know. And we're mucking around doing this ourselves. So we are almost like a servant to humanity by sharing the load, sharing our journey. No, we are here to say that, look, we've done it. It's possible. This is how we did it. Why don't you try it? So I'm about halfway in, maybe 60%. I don't know everything. I'm not Steve Bartlett. I haven't got a million people listening to my podcast. So I'm about halfway in. I've done it. I've been around the block a few times. People listen to my show. I'm getting good at it, and it's moving forward. There's people in the other, that's why I do the sound check every Tuesday. What mic do I buy? Do I need a mixer? How do I set up my room? What do I talk about? Should I have a blog? All these questions when you're starting. We all had those questions. So the people that are building in public, they're our gurus. They're our heroes because they're doing it and they've got enough courage to share it. Very important. Very important.
And what's the reference that you mention so often? Don't be afraid to suck at something.
Yeah, you've got to suck to get good.
Absolutely.
You do. I believe. I mean, don't you think do you think there's a commonality between people that are doing this in front of others, that they've faced some rejection before, that they have come to a place where they have grown out of caring, or I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say, but do you think it's because they've accumulated some grit and some passion to share, or what do you think it is? Is it like, are we all just as crazy as about growing as one another, or what is it?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is some people are naturally, entrepreneurial and extroverted. Like, I still don't understand why people take a photo on an iPhone in front of a mirror and think that's a post. I still don't understand that. I still don't understand how that's a post. It's a picture of you in front of a mirror with a bloody good iPhone. And sure, you're pretty, but what has that got to do with business? Nothing.
I know, and unfortunately, I can see that's kind of trending right now. And I share some of the posts. It's like, man, could we do without the selfie? Like, I get it, I guess, but that's funny you mentioned that.
So some people are naturally gregarious and entrepreneurial and sort of extroverted. That's natural. But when you've been doing it a while, you become aware that you are about, and I mentioned this, you are about halfway in. But you also know, and this is very important to me, I also know that I got a helping hand when I started. And I want to be the guy that I needed when I was 18. I want to be that guy, the guy that says, mate, it's not that hard. Just follow along. I'll help you. Because someone did, and it helped. And we're still friends. And they had the capacity, the foresight, the compassion to say, you know what, I don't know everything, but I probably know a few things that you can benefit from. And do you want to have a coffee? And I'll share with you. And I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy that says, look, I've been doing it 20 years and I've learned a few things and I'm happy to share because I'm going all right. I don't have $1 million in the bank, but I don't need $1 million in the bank. We paid the house off. I get food every night. Bills get paid. I'm quite content. And I think there's a group of us, and this is the group I want to hang out with. There's a group of us that say, look, we've been around the block a few times and there are people that haven't and they're struggling, and let's give them a hand. And there's people that are ahead of us that are also doing the same thing and they've given us a hand and we're sort of following them along. I don't know Stephen Bartlett, but I'm sure if I sat down and had a coffee with him, he'd be a very nice person and he'd help me out. I'm sure he would. I don't know him, but I'm sure he would. And I'm sure if Gary Vee came to Melbourne and I asked him, he'd probably share a pizza with me and give me some of the goss. I don't know if he's been to Melbourne. I haven't seen him speak, but I'm sure he would because he's been around the block. And not everyone is like this, but I want to hang out with people like this. And I'm about halfway in. So I think it's a natural sort of tendency for those, I guess you would call servant leaders, the people that know that we don't know everything. There's people ahead of us and there's people behind us, and we're part of a sort of an ecosystem. Is that how you view it, Americo? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
That is a great way to define it. I would agree. I learned myself. I had no idea. And I have a tremendous appreciation for the philanthropy that exists here in this ecosystem, because that's exactly what you've described is exactly what's happening. We find ourselves wherever it is in our journeys, and you come to realize that there's people further ahead of you, and those are the people that you look up to. Those are the people you want to learn from. And those same people are looking down and say, hey, why don't I give you a hand? See what you're doing. I envision where you want to get yourself to. I was where you are today a couple of years ago. Let's grab a coffee and I'll give you a few tips that helped accelerate my visibility or my social authority. And I'm in that same position now because I know there's people who are trailing, as you described, who I can help and give advice. And sometimes the advice, someone pointed out to me, it's like, doesn't this consume a lot of your time? Hey, it might consume a lot of my time, but it's also part of what I am building. People are here for my journey, throughout my journey, and my content, these shows now become part of my brand. And I'm perfectly fine with people seeing where I was a year ago and what I look like, so that they too can envision, all right, America wasn't polished, perfect. And so often we hear stories where someone on the surface looks like an overnight success. And when you sit down and have a conversation with them, they share the 4-year journey that it took. Like Bez shares that with us all the time. He made his first online dollar after how many years of trying to figure it out? But on the surface, people just say, wow, this person's an overnight success. I wish I was like them. It's like, well, you can be like them. You just got to be persistent and persevere through whatever thoughts are in your head, because we are the only people holding ourselves back.
Mhm.
It's very important, and you're in a field that's extremely important right now. I can just imagine how many people you are serving, and I honor you that you must have an incredible amount of compassion and resilience, because you not only have to deal with your life, but you're being there as a conduit for others. Tell us a bit about what you're doing and what you'd like to do with what you're doing.
Oh my. Um, my journey looks a little something like this. I was in high school, I was the athlete. I had okay grades, but biggest motivation was, to get on the sports field. But then I kind of, like I was sharing in um, the messages, it's like my progress has always been slow and then like all of a sudden. And so junior, senior year, like I got into the college that I wanted to. And so all this to say, I never felt like I could really pursue what I wanted to pursue. I wanted to study people and psychology and sociology, and I just every, you're never gonna how you can't make a living that way, like that, all this and that. So what I did was I went to school for what I wanted to go to school for, and I wanted to prove everybody wrong. So I tried to fit this mold of, climbing the corporate ladder. And I will never forget the first time being led to my first big girl, office job, to that cubicle. And I hated it. Everything about it felt robotic and fake and forced. And I continued that until I made the move to San Diego with, no support system, and that's another story for another time. But um, I really just put myself out there and had just different jobs. And on my LinkedIn, there's a number of jobs, but then there's some more on top of that. I've been working ever since I could reach a counter. My great grandfather came over from Hungary, and as an immigrant, and to Pennsylvania, to Harrisburg near Philadelphia. and started a business, which is now a fourth generation business. So I grew up, with seeing some good, strong values of serving the community and love, and my faith is important to me, but nothing was ever, there was no religion forced on us. It's always showed to us through love. So all of that to say, now fast forward, since I played, I couldn't play the part anymore. And like I said, timing's everything. I crossed paths with an old friend of my dad's who knew my grandparents well, was from the community of the family business, and is gifting my schooling to me. So I'm back in student mode to get my master's, and it's incredible. It's a blessing. I never thought I would be here. I never thought, I always kind of wished that I was more um money driven, or just more could think in a way that most people think, I don't know, you just show up and do what you're supposed to do and move up. But I was just always too curious for that. So you'll see
Yeah.
my background, it's all over the place. And, some of those times I was living in the most beautiful places, barely making rent, but have had some of the most incredible experiences. So
I love what you're saying here. Have you? We did a whole show yesterday on a concept called ikigai. Have you heard of this? Have you? This is a very strong philosophical concept that crosses exactly what you're talking about. A lot of people that do what they love don't make a lot of money, and the art, the challenge of being a creative person, is that if you want to be creative, sometimes you have to forego some of the luxuries in life. And so some people go the opposite way. They go, look, I just want to make money. I don't care if I like it, because I'm going to buy a Porsche and that'll make me happy. If I buy a Porsche, that'll make me happy. I'll do any job that I can because I want a Porsche. Right? And then they realize, geez, I've got a Porsche, but I feel so empty inside. Right. So you've got to find, you're toggling between, this is what I want to do, but there's no money in it. This is what I want, but I hate doing it. And we talked all about, it was an unbelievable show, went 3 hours. Have you heard of this concept, or have you got something similar in your psychological studies that you want to talk about? MBTI maybe, or DISC, or super, anything you want to chat to us about the psychology of humanity and the happiness?
I I'm I'm I want to hear more about this 3-hour live stream that went on about this. No, I don't. I don't know. I'm learning all of these things.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
Well, I'll give you a starter, and I'll say we've had 400 replays on this show. I'm so proud. There's a very, very cool and quite well-known concept called ikigai. And the basic idea is that if you want to be happy, internally happy, psychologically, then the Japanese believe there's 4 ways to do it. One is you have to do what you love. There's no point doing a job you hate because you're going to buy shit. That's not the way. I totally agree with this. It's buying stuff is not the path to happiness, although that's a very controversial topic. Buying stuff is not the path. It's not the path. You've got to do what you love. You were born for something. What is that something, right? That's the fundamental principle. The second idea is, what do people want you to do? What does the world need? What are people crying out for? Right. And if you can get that, then your chances are of getting paid for it are quite high. So what do you love to do? What does the world need you to do? What will they pay you for? And what, by definition, will you get good at? And if you get all of those 4 going, you're making rent. You might be able to afford a Porsche, but that's not important because you love what you're doing. and people are benefiting from what you're doing. So there's many principles on this, but this is a very, very, very good one. It's a Venn diagram. And we talked about this and I was a career counselor, so I actually know a lot about this. So people would come to me at university and say, Keith, look, I don't care what I do. I just have to make $100,000 in my first year straight out of school. What's the best course to do to make $100,000 straight out of uni? Well, I don't know if I want to answer that question. What do you want to do? I don't care what I do. I don't need to know what I want to do. I want to make money. I want to make money. Money is the path. Well, you know what? I might pass you on to someone else. I can't answer that question. It's not the right question. I'll give you an answer logically, factually, but I'm not going to participate in this line of questioning because I don't believe it. And other people would say, mate, I love what I'm doing. I just love what I'm doing, but I can't make any money. How do I find that middle ground between paying rent and writing songs? Or I want to be a poet, or I love cooking, but there's no cafes in my town, you know? So it's a very delicate balance, but it's exactly picks up on what you talk about because we want to be happy, right? Some people think
Yes. And
things.
money's nice. Don't, that's, I've had a lot, I've had a little. Money is nice, but I do believe that the money will come and the happiness is so important.
Yeah, it's very, very important. So the show itself, the first hour, this is the way our shows go. The first hour was very much fundamentally about this. So I'm sent you the link. It's a very, very good show. And there's books about it, and you've been introduced to the idea. You know, there's books about this. Then the rest of it was people coming in saying, well, look, this is what I think. Have you thought of this? And we sort of, there's variations on this theme. Do you want to pick up on what this was, Americo? It's a very good example of what our shows have become.
What angle would you like me to pick up from? Because your shows have a tendency of morphing into something I've never experienced. Typically, a show has its subject matter, people talk, guests talk, and it stays in its lane. And for whatever reason, and it's a good reason, don't get me wrong, your subject matter is at the forefront. You cover your subject matter, and you allow, which I'm starting to embrace, you allow for people to veer off. And that veering off is typically where we have the most robust, most rich, enriching, enlightening conversations, because we end up at the end of every episode in amazement. It's like, wow, never knew it was going to go that direction. But never once have we ever said, like, wow, that really fell off the rails quick.
Yeah.
Right?
So my shows, Rachel, I'm my ikigai. My ikigai is that I love tech and I love communities, and so I'm challenging myself to go and do these shows without a script. I mean, it's difficult. I'm not advocating people do this, but I'm challenging myself to do it because I want the thrill of challenging myself to do this because it's hard. It's hard to do.
Yes, I get that. I understand that.
So my shows start with a theme. So there is a little bit of something to bounce off. And so the first half an hour or so is on topic. And then I call for guests. And that's the first half hour, which is very, very robust. And then we call for topics. And then people say, well, look, I haven't actually got much to talk about there, but can I mention this? Right. And my skill, my job, my talent, hopefully, is to be able to say, well, okay, I can see the joining dots, and my job is to join the dots. We're talking about Ikigai, and then suddenly now we're talking about Substack. Well, on first glance, that doesn't look like there's any synergy there. But the shows go in such a miraculous direction that we seem to be able to fit it all together. Right. And people feel willing to talk and open to the idea that we don't know everything. And so if you were to listen to the second or third hour, you'd be wondering how we got there. But it's a very specific type of show that we do. And I've done the interview someone for an hour and pitch at the end. I've done those shows like 100,000 times, and I've done it. I can do it. Tick. But this idea of running shows without a script, I haven't done that many of them, and it makes exciting. Like, this is part of my ikigai. I want to get up in the morning and get out of bed and say, hey, I've got something. I haven't done this before. I'm excited. I haven't tried this. I want to get good at it. I don't just want to do the same old thing every time, all the time. I've been doing this 20 years. So that's a very, very good show. In the context of what you're talking about, another example you may come across is MBTI, Myers-Briggs, DISC, and various others. Have you studied any of these psychological models yet, or do you have an understanding of the human sort of the way we think yet? Or is it very early days? Is that the exciting part? You're right in the beginning.
Yes, but it's the early days, and I don't have the confidence. If I did, man, we'd be going back and forth. But I understand. You know what I think is exciting about the unscripted, because I too would have a theme, a general idea, is the fact that there was no faking. Like when it was time to come on, and I held myself to, sticking to my time, my start time, because you can wiggle it around and change it. Like you have to be prepared by that time, and that means like meditating on it throughout the week. That means like being good to yourself and like being awake and like, do you know what I mean? It's exciting, and sometimes you have a big following, sometimes you don't. And I like how I like how you mentioned the veering off, that you allow the veering off, because I do appreciate that. You allow everything to be heard. And
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a skill. It's my path, if you like. Been doing this a while, and so I want to be that guy that's halfway down. And I want to share a personal story that actually gives some context here. During the pandemic, Melburnians were locked inside for 2 years. And that really fucked with our brain, I can tell you for sure. And when we were allowed to come out, many of us, me included, didn't want to. Right? So I went to a counsellor and I said, look, I'm a bit embarrassed. I'm a man in my 50s and I can't leave the house because I've been locked inside for 2 years and I got sort of used to it. Now I don't want to go out. And the first comment she said, my counsellor, she said, don't be embarrassed. There are 100,000 people that I talk to every day that can't even check the letterbox. And this has really affected Melburnians. You are not alone. And please work this out because people want to hear this story. There are people I know that can't even get out of bed. And they can't leave the house to check the letterbox because they're so scared. Because for 2 years we've been drilled into us that COVID is here and you're all going to die. So we created together a phrase called leapfrogging. I'm so proud of this. I might even write a book about it. And she said, I just want you to go to the end of the street, give yourself a pat on the back and come back. And then next day, walk to the train station and then come back because the train's about 10 minutes walk. And then the next day, I want you to get on the train and go one station and then turn around and come back. Leapfrogging, little things. And then the next day, I want you to get off the train and go and get a coffee in the shops. And just sit there in amongst all the people and all the noise, which still scares me now. And I want you to get back on the train and pat yourself on the back that you did that and come home. Right? This is 2022. So with that in mind, what I did was I created this little graph, and every day, every week, once a week on a Thursday, typically today, I got on the train and went one station further. And eventually I got all the way into the city. Took me about 3 months. I got all the way into the city. Now, the 97% of people that don't have agoraphobia are thinking, what are you talking about, Keith? Just get on the train. It can't be that hard. Just get on the train and go. What are you talking about? But the 3% of people with agoraphobia are thinking, man, I can't even get to the letterbox. Good on you. Man, I need to hear this story. I want you to tell me this story because I need to do that. So I'm not talking to the 97% of people that can get on the train and drive in traffic and don't have trouble with parking and crowds. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the 3% of people who are saying, mate, I don't even get out of bed anymore. I'm so depressed I don't even get out of bed. Well, that's all right. I'll help you. So the world is a big place, 8 billion people. Not everyone needs what you have, but there are some people that are behind you. That's not I don't want to say it that way. Some people have not yet had your, courage. I'm not talking to them. So does that resonate, Rachel? I didn't want to go too personal, but I wanted to say that I'm about halfway down. I still have agoraphobia. I'm not fully fixed yet, but I can get out of the house and I can get on the train and I can go to the city and shout myself lunch, which is more than a few people that I personally know. And I sort of want to be that advocate for them. Does that resonate?
Yes, absolutely. And during the 3-month journey, what did you do on the days where you just thought that you couldn't?
No, that's a very good question. I gave myself permission to say sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes I couldn't, and that's okay. I didn't beat myself up. So I found for me, and I'm going to share a graph with you. I'm very proud of this story, Rachel. Because this was hard for me.
Heck yeah.
What happened was my wife. We're headbangers.
Did we lose Keith?
Yeah, I can't hear him.
He may have dropped off. All right, so while he reestablishes his internet connection, let's bring up a question here because I don't know who it's being posed to. But if we can get some more insight from Samira, who's asking, I need your advice, and we'd love to answer your questions during the live if we're able to. Let's let Keith back in. So Samira, while Keith continues this conversation with Rachel, I'm going to ask you to drop your comment. We lost him again. Drop your comments and would be happy to answer and provide whatever support or advice we can for you. All right. You're back, my friend.
Did I drop out?
You did drop out.
Was I up to Guns N' Roses?
You were up to headbanging.
Yeah.
Headbanging.
So my wife said to me about a week after we got out of lockdown, March 2022, look, Guns N' Roses are coming to Melbourne. Do you want to go? And 100,000 people at the MCG. And I thought, well, can't we just do a bit of a middle ground? Can't we go to the pub? Can we just go and see a band like in the next suburb? Any band, just on a Saturday night. Can you warm me up? She goes, I really, really want to go to Guns N' Roses. We've never seen them before. They've got all our favourite songs and they're playing in the city. Can't you just man up and go? And I said, oh, okay. So what I did every week for a year, about 6 months, is I went one station further, got off the train, bought a coffee, took a photo, pat myself on the back, get back on the train, go home. I did that every week for a year, from March till December. And then I went, I'm very, very proud of this. I went to the MCG one day about a month before, and I went inside and I stared it down. I said, mate, you're not beating me. I'm coming. I'm doing this. I'm coming to see you in a month and you're not getting me. I'm doing this. And I want to tell that story for all the people that can't do it, because the fear of leaving the house is real, especially after the pandemic, and agoraphobia is a thing. So when I went there, it was bloody easy because I'd been doing it every week for a year. And then I'm thinking, what happened here? But I had to have the courage to start. And that story about agoraphobia is no different than the story of starting a podcast, or starting a speaking career, or going for a job interview, or learning to drive, or getting on a plane and going overseas. These are all fears, right? And you need to break it down. And I think that's probably one of my proudest moments, that I stared it down, and it was bloody hard. Like, I'm not going to lie, I was very scared, but I stared it down and I did it. And now we go out 3 or 4 times a year to bands. And I'm just wondering if you've come across that story or similar stories in your work in mental health. It's a very important paradigm that we need to get inside, isn't it?
It is absolutely. And amen to your story. That I just could see you each day, like, the sweat, the nerves, the anxiety before, like staring at the doorknob, like oh my gosh, like the mind can be a scary place when you're trying to face those demons. And that was kind of where my life shifted. Was I faced a battle um, of addiction 6 years ago. And I mean, like they say, it addiction to alcohol is cunning, baffling. It happens really quickly. Do I think, like, today I still have a problem? I don't know, but all I do know is that my system was dependent on it. That I was that small percentage that had the DTs. That alcoholism and addiction were foreign in my family. But I knew, like, for the first time in my life, like, this is not something I can do. Like, I'm gonna die. And so all this to say, like, it was the best gift I could have ever given myself. Like, I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if I'd have to be in AA basements for the rest of my life. But I went into it thinking that I needed all of it, that I was the worst case. And for that reason, I think that's that's what that's why my story has been a success, is because I mean, who am I? I had to squash my ego. I had to show up every day, like, facing myself when, uh, I mean, I wore it on my face. I couldn't hide it. The physical effects, like, it was terrible. But I proved to myself, like, beating that I can face anything. And so I share the story only when I have it on my heart. It's not something that is, like, associated with who I am. I mean, it's associated with who I am, but it's not something that has been, like, um, I don't know what I'm saying. I share it in moments where I think it needs to be heard. And um I think I would have missed out on reaching my potential if I would have, um, still dabbled and this and that. And um, yeah, I needed something that serious to wake me up. So, uh, um, yeah, I don't take any day for granted. I don't take any progress. I, I really respect your story and you sharing that. And what a beautiful story. So I commend you on your journey.
I'm very proud of it. But the reason I want to share it is that we hear these people, we see these people, and these glamorous people in a Ferrari in Italy. driving around, having fun, thinking, look, I did it. And if you buy my ebook or come to my course or pay me $1 million, I'll teach you how to do it too. And I'm thinking, no one knows that story. No one knows how that. Why don't you tell the real story? Why don't you tell the story where you're crying your heart out on the couch on a Saturday night because no one's buying your stuff? Why don't you tell those stories? Why don't you tell the story of fighting with your wife because you're working 15 hours a day and you haven't gone out for tea for 3 weeks? Why don't you tell the real shit? And so LinkedIn has this habit of saying, guess what? I bought a Lamborghini. I'm so clever. I'm so clever. I bought a new car. And if you buy my ebook, I'll teach you how to buy a new car. I'm thinking, well, that's not really what it's about. You know, I don't want to be that person. I do have a nice car, but I don't. You don't need to know that. I'm not telling you that. I never post about my holidays or my cars or where we go for tea. I'm not telling you that because that's me. That's for me. And I'm not. I don't know. I'm just having a bit of trouble with the whole LinkedIn paradigm lately. That people tend to exaggerate the good and forget the bad, and we can be forgiven for thinking we're failing when really they just haven't told us how many times they failed.
Absolutely.
I want to hear those stories, right?
Yeah, and it's both stories are compelling, and if we bring it back to the beginning of the show where the subject was this whole virtual event space and allowing a safe place for people to bring their voice, their vision, and create their own stage. Listen, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't fall or succumb to what others are saying in terms of, hey, I can do this in 10 steps. I can do this in 10 times, whatever metrics you're looking for. The raw and the vulnerable, the real story lies within us. And don't be afraid. If we're to use this format and this show and this virtual event space as an example and draw parallel to your narrative that you just shared with us, Keith, your go live moment could be just an image. Doesn't have to be a voice. There doesn't have to be anything. Just go live for the sake of going live, to know that you did it, to know that you can do it, and come back tomorrow and try it just a little bit longer. Take a minute and grow into it, and then bring your voice into it. Bring your picture into it when you're ready. And if we use that same your narrative and apply it to this landscape and this ecosystem that we're demonstrating, it can be done, and you can overcome whatever anxiety. And just simply don't let others rent space in your head, especially those who say, I can teach you and this can happen overnight, because it doesn't.
Yeah, they're sort of they're playing this narrative out because they've got something to sell to you. They don't really have your interests at heart. They're selling a product, and they're trying to convince you to buy it. So not everyone, of course. Some people are very genuinely and openly helpful, and I want to hang
And
out with them.
it's so surprising to find, it's almost like you're always waiting for the catch or the link to drop and, subscription to start.
Yeah. It is sort of an odd position, but I've been around the block a few times. We've paid off the house, and I don't need to make $1 million a year. I can teach you how to make 8 figures in 8 days. I can teach you how to do that. I know exactly how to do it. All you have to do to make 8 figures is convince 10 people to pay you 7 figures. That's it. That's the trick. That's the hack. Just convince 10 people to pay you 7 figures, and those 10 people convince someone to pay them 6 figures, and those 6 figures convince people to pay them 5 figures. It's just a hack. It's just a scam. I'm exaggerating to make a point. I'm going to get in big trouble now. Some people have very massive value, but do you really need to be making 8 figures a year? Do you really? What is that? That's like $10 million. $10 Do you really? Is that right? Is that 10 million? 10
The
10
younger,
million.
the younger generations want money. I have younger cousins, 19 to 24, and they think they're going to be swimming in money.
Yeah.
I think everyone goes through that in some shape or form. Some for longer periods of time, some for shorter periods of time. Depends on when you get your reality check. If I look at where I am today, am I making? Let's go back to Ikigai. Am I making the same money I was before I got retrenched? It's safe to say no. And in fact, I can definitely say no with confidence. But am I happier? Definitely. Will my moment come where perhaps I might make more money than I was making in the past? Perhaps. But will I continue to be as happy as I am today? Who knows? Probably not.
Yeah, money and happiness are not related.
That's right.
That's a big statement. Geez, that's a big statement. Money and happiness are not related. You can be happy on $100,000 a year, and you can be miserable on $1 million a year. There's billionaires that are miserable, and people living in India in a hut that are pretty happy. I know that because I've met them. So, happiness and money are not related. That is a big statement, and that's my belief system. But I'm happy, and we've got enough. If I didn't have enough, obviously I wouldn't be happy, but I have enough. I food in my belly 3 times a day. I watch telly at night. It costs me $10 a month. We go out for tea on a weekend. We travel. We've got a car. We're content. Right? I don't need $1 million. That's maybe an age thing. Maybe it's an Australian thing. Maybe it's an Aquarian thing. I'm an Aquarian. I want the world to get along. I want everyone to be happy. That's my nature. I'm an ENFP if we're talking about Myers-Briggs. I am an ENFP. Have you done Myers-Briggs yet, Rachel? Have you got to that one?
Yes.
What have you done your Myers-Briggs?
Yes. Are you going to quiz me?
No, you don't have to remember.
Okay.
I'm an ENFP. And I'll tell you what.
ANFP?
Have you done that? Have you done this, America?
I have. I couldn't tell you what I am right now, but I did it many years ago.
Yeah, so I'm an ENFP, and DISC, which is very similar. I'm an SI. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So I'm an extroverted, intuitive feeling perceiver. So I get my energy from other people, which is why I can talk by myself for 10 minutes, but I can talk for 6 hours if other people are involved. 6 hours and 600 people. That's my highest score. So I can talk for 6 hours if there's other people in the room, but I can't talk for 10 minutes if there's no one to talk to. I'm an extrovert. I'm intuitive. I feel things. I don't research things. I feel them. I'm very emotional. I am an intuitive thinking perceiver. I do like to do the research. I do like to find out the facts. And I'm a perceiver rather than a judger. I just sort of go with the flow. Right? A judge, you might say, well, if you can give me some stats that proves to me that it's worth leaving the house and going to the city and I'm going to get an ROI out of that, I'll do it. But you've got to prove it to me and you've got to give me facts. And I need to know the stats. And I need to know how much money I'm making for how much time I'm spending. Have you got that on a spreadsheet, please? Right, that's a J, a judger. A perceiver says, oh, look, it feels right. I'm just going to wing it today. I really don't know where this is going, but I might just have a go. I'm a perceiver. I'm a bit of a have a go type of guy. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Right? So now that I know that, I like hanging out with other ENFPs, and that's my personality. It's not wrong or right. It's just who I am. That's Myers-Briggs. Yeah, and this you'll learn this in uni, and I guess you've probably already started to learn it. Very, very, very useful if you want to get a job you like. An introvert probably couldn't be a public speaker or the Prime Minister of Australia. I'm guessing. You probably couldn't get up and do these big speeches in front of 100,000 people if you're an introvert. You might be able to wing it, but it'd be bloody hard. You might be better off being an accountant or, you know, someone who builds websites, or, you know, someone who does code all day, because that's your skill. It's a very important skill. Yeah. Do you have some understanding of what you might be, Americo? Are you can you remember?
Um, couldn't tell you. I'd be guessing, but knowing that I'm an extrovert and what you've described sounds like my personality, but to say what was written down or what the outcome was, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I'm very into this because I was a career counselor. Like, I was a career counselor, so I learned all of these. Can you remember which one you were, Rachel?
It's interesting because when my boss was from the UK, he had the new hires do the test and see the results. And I think it's very important for a job as well. I don't know. I wish in the US it was like they saw that more as matching personalities to jobs, but I remember I'm a perceiver, and that's all I could remember from what you were sharing.
Yeah, it's not extremely important, but another variation on this, which is really cool, is called DISC, DISC, and the D stands for dominant, and the I stands for influencer, and the S stands for social, and the C stands for conventional. Like, I am a social influencer. I want everyone to get along, but I also want them to do what they're told. I'm an SI. Some people are very dominant, what we call a high D. I don't care what you think, just do it. We all know people like this. I don't care what you think, I'm the boss, just do it. Right? I don't care what you're thinking. I don't care if you have to work late or your kids are sick. I don't care. Just do the job. High Ds. Often bosses and CEOs and high achievers, but sometimes not very nice people. I can't stand high Ds. I can't stand them. I want everyone to get along. What do you think? Do you reckon we can get this done today? Let's all pitch in. You want to have a go? I reckon we can do it. Let's try. Soft. Maybe you're not as efficient, but no one gets hurt. Right? Have you heard of this one, Americo? DISC?
Yeah. I'm definitely an SI. That I remember.
Yeah, you're an SI. That's why we get along so well.
Absolutely.
Have you done this one, Rachel?
No, I don't remember the DISC one.
Yeah, it's very prominent in business. And it could be said, if you were a DISC, you'd probably get the job if you wanted to go for a CEO. Maybe they want that. They want someone who just gets in there, hot and ready. Get the job done. Don't have to make friends. We're not here to make friends. We're here to work. We're here to work. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
This has been a fantastic conversation. We are on the cusp. Well, I've already broken a record here. We are shy of hour number 3. I've been a participant of hours number 3. I've never hosted hour number 3. So kudos to all of us. Let's all celebrate. Put our hands together. Thanks for being a part of this. I think that I'm at the point where perhaps we do a quick roundtable and wrap things up. I think it's been a great conversation. I really like this format, and I'd really like to hear what those on the panel and those in the on stage here with us have to say as we close things off. So why don't we start with, I know Lynn and Joe have been quietly sitting in the wings here. Lynn, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I first of all, I love this, the new stage. I love the format. This is great. And right now, I will say for events, I really enjoy being a guest. It's a lot of fun and not as much work as putting in like what you guys are doing, but much appreciated. And so thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Learned a lot of and the great thing about going for a long time like this, getting into all of the different topics. I love that because it's really like having a conversation with a friend, and that's really where else are you going to find that kind of format? I mean, I don't think I've seen anything like that. So this is just great, and I really enjoy it. A lot of fun. So
Hey, here's an olive branch I'd like to extend, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I'd love to have you on as a guest. We can feature you in what you do, whether it's through the storytelling journey, whether it's through this episode, this platform. You name the date, I'll put together a show that will showcase you, your business, and your profession.
oh wow, wow. Well, thank you. Gosh, that is so super super nice. I love it. Thank you. Absolutely.
And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Joe, would you like to share your closing comments, thoughts, ideas? We'd love to hear from you.
Sure, happy to do it. I think the you and Keith as the host and the people that came up on stage did a very good job of breaking down how to be successful and the different ways you can be successful in doing your audio rooms, whether they're on LinkedIn or their podcast or what have you. And there really aren't hard and fast rules about it, other than to be organized and be prepared. That should demystify it for a lot of people. And when you brought up the idea that of being aware when you do these kinds of events and becoming uninhibited, I would say this, that once you become aware enough to realize that most people are scared to death to get up in front of a group of people, whether it's in a physical world or if it's on a platform, you're doing it. They're not doing it. And once you recognize that, it becomes so much easier to do. So I'll leave it there. But it was fun being here. Thank you for having me.
Well, it was a pleasure having you join us. Thank you, Joe. Rachel?
I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to step up and learn this platform. And I just really appreciate the encouragement and hearing the kind voices from all over. Let's continue learning from one another and growing from each other. God bless all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your part of your journey with us, and bringing your voice onto our stage. It has been an absolute pleasure having all three of you join the conversation. And what can I say about our friend Keith? Keith, you've opened eyes for many. You've helped. I'm sure you've lost track as to how many people you have helped. But I am thankful that you are part of my community, and can't thank you enough for the value that you bring, my friend, from the corners of the world. You and I are sitting on opposite ends, and here we are making an impact, helping others fill themselves with confidence and helping them bring their voice and their vision and helping them being seen, heard, and remembered. Thank you, my friend. We lost him, didn't we? Do I have to do that all over again? Hey, there he is in the thumbnail.
You're very, very welcome. I've been doing this a while, and I think I want to hang out with people like us. I want to hang out with people that realize that we are about halfway in. We're not there yet, if indeed there is a there, but we are on the way. And I want to be a guy that looks back. And Joe said something very interesting. The fact that we can get up and do this is something that a lot of people can't yet do. And our shows are about helping you do it. Why don't you just come up and have a go? The open mic. We're 3 hours in. No one's going to listen to all of this. You're pretty safe. So it's bloody brilliant, isn't it?
It is. And as we bid farewell, those who fast forward till the end, or those who are here at the end with us, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching what went on, listening for what went on, for however long you were able to, or forever long you come back to listen to the replay. I can't thank you enough, because we do this as part of our community building, and it's our audience and our community that feeds the energy to keep us going. So thank you. And I'm going to close the room, cue up some music, and jump into the comments and engage with anyone that I may have missed. Why don't we go with some techno? Afternoon or evening, it has been an absolute pleasure. Bye for now.